Welcome to the introduction to Git and GitHub. By the end of the course, you'd learn how to write Git commands, and you'd also learn how to store your repository and other commands on GitHub. By the way, Git and GitHub is not just used by a single person. It's not only used by developers. It can be used in most of any tech field you can think of. Think of data analysis, web development, software engineering, mobile app development, cybersecurity. It's mostly used in all of these fields. So it's not specific to one industry only. So what's actually Git and GitHub? So before I explain all of this, I would like to talk about what Git is first of all. But before that, I would need to talk about something called the version control system. Now, forget me talking about Git and GitHub, but let's talk about a simple English called version control. Now, version control, in simple terms, it just allows you to track changes. Well, to understand this, I like to break things down. So say in school, a particular thing, right? And all you just have to do is to simply write it in your Microsoft Word application. And then you go to your Microsoft Word, right? But you think it can be better than that, right? So what you can do is, instead of opening, you don't want to mess up with the first essay you did, right? So let's say this is the first essay which you did. You don't want to mess up with it, but you feel it can still be better, right? So what you do is to make a copy, right? An essay. So what we just do is to make a copy, right? To be having another version. So we can probably say this is your second essay, right? Okay. So, and then let's say you also want to make another changes again to the second essay. You can make a copy of that file, right, on your computer, which means you are about having 3 copies, right? So let's say we have another copy now, the third copy, and then we name this third essay, right? So maybe at some point you get frustrated that you must just create the best essays and you must get the first position, right? And this time around, you promise yourself you will not create that version of your essay. And let's say this time around, you decided to create another copy of the third essay, and this time around, and then maybe this time you didn't name it the fourth, the final, you can name it the final essay, right? So you can see what just happened here. You have your first essay, your second essay, your third essay, your final essay, right? And let's say, well, at the end of everything, you decided that out of all the essays you have written so far, you the best one out of everything. What's the best thing you can do? The best thing you can do is to just keep this first one, right? Because you think it's the best. And all of these other ones which you have written, the second, third, and the final essay, the best thing you can do is to delete them from your computer, right? Because you no longer need them, right? And before I would say you have deleted them on your computer, you know the disadvantage of creating or copies of all this, it will take up space on your computer. Back then, anytime we have a website, right? So for example, let's say this was Facebook website, and all the code they used in creating the website is inside this folder, right? So back then, if they wanted to create, they feel they can create something better than this version 1.1. So what they can do is to actually create a copy of this folder, and they can simply name it maybe version 1.2, right? And what they can do is to do all the new updates on this version 1.2, and then it keeps going on like that. They can create another version again, maybe this is going to be version 1.3, and then it keeps going on like that. Imagine they go to version 10.5. Can you imagine how many folders they would have, right? That would look really messy, isn't it? There will be version 1.4, 1.5, 1.6789, version 2.0, 2.1, 2.3, and that's not really nice, right? So let's say, so sometimes if you also want to download some applications online, you will see that if you can still download Facebook of 2015 or 2010, it's right on the internet. You can go check it out, right? But that's not what we're trying to do now. What we are trying to do is for us to learn how to do this in a more efficient way. That is, we don't have to be creating copies of folders before we actually say we want to go back. And let's say Facebook decided to go back to version 1.1, all they just need to do is to come back to this code, and that would just be stressful, right? So this is simply called control management. Okay, so this is called a control system. Okay, so Facebook has different versions of their applications, right? So they can go back to version 1 or upgrade to version 3, right? So this is simply called a version system or a version control system, right? So if we look at what we simply have here, I've talked about what version control is. Version control is a system that tracks changes in files over time. And what we need to do is we need to find a way we can fix this. Okay, we need something that can make us not just copy many files. And this is where you need Git. So by the time you learn Git, you don't need to be creating copies of your files or your apps or whatever field you are, whether data, you don't need to be creating copies of it, or your website, you don't need all that. So this is where Git comes in. So Git is a version control system that allows you to track your changes in your files, right? So, and it also allows not just tracking changes in files over time, it also allows collaboration without overwriting each other's work. So if you are in different countries, you guys as a team can be working on the same file. And this is just simply learning how to use Git, right? And with Git, you can revert. That is, you can go back to the previous version you have, not by copying one folder to the other. No, you are going to learn how it works here. Okay? And think of Git as a time machine, right? You can go back to whatever time you want to go back to. You can go back to 1990. You can come back to 2025 if you want, right? It's the same thing here. You can go back to your files you've created 10 years ago, any version you want, right? And it's not by creating copies like we saw earlier. It does it in a smart way, right? So that's what you're going to learn here in this case. And it allows people to work on multiple files together. You can have one file and 10 people can be working on the same file without no mistake, without no mess. That's one interesting thing about Git. So this is the definition of it, by the way, in a simple way. It's just your personal notebook that remembers every change. You can go back to the recent changes you want, or you can come to the most recent change. Okay, so if we really want to understand this, let's actually go to Git website. So actually you can just type download Git, right? So by the time you type download Git, it's always the first website that is going to pop up. In this case is git-scm.com. so as you can see, git-scm.com. anyways, it's the first link that will show up, either this one or this one, but I'll click for this one right away, the first one. It doesn't matter, just make sure that it takes you to the website called git-scm.com. okay, so this is it right here. If you can't type download Git, just go to git-scm.com. okay, then maybe /install/windows. all right, but when you are here now, I just want to click on this icon just to show you the definition of Git. You don't have to do that. Okay, so if you look at Git, this is the official definition of Git. So you can see Git is a free and open source. It means it's free, everyone can use it. Okay, distributed version control system but the only thing you can reason here is version control system. Okay, you know, I've kind of like giving you an example here of what version control system is. You can go back to the old files. You know, you can retrieve any files. People can collaborate on the same file, right? So version control system means it allows you to control the version of your files. Okay, so Git is a version control system, right? It's a system that allows you to control the version of your files, right? And it is designed to undo everything, whether you are creating a small project or a large project. It's definitely efficient and speed for that. Okay, so we are going to learn how to use Git by first of all downloading it. So when you're on this website, git-scm.com, you want to download Git, and you have to download for your specific operating system. In my case, I'm using Windows. I can just click install for Windows. It will take me back here, which I was here already. Then what you want to do now is to actually click here to download, or you can click this one. They are the same thing, just click any one of it. Okay, so this is the latest version. Probably the version might change if you're watching this one in the future. So I'll just click here to download. The problem some of you may have is you may not be able to download it, even though you have tried clicking on this multiple times. I noticed that though, and it's actually not your fault. In order for you to escape this, what you can do is to use a VPN to download it. Whether it's on your phone, you can then bring it to your system, or if you can download the VPN for free on your system, or use a Chrome extension. You know, you search for Chrome extension, you search for VPN and download it. You can see it's not trying to download, right? And this is because of the server is not closed or whatever. So I have a VPN which I'm going to simply use in this case, and I'm just going to connect to the VPN, and you know, you can just do that. Okay, just make sure you actually get to do that, right? So I'm just going to connect to a VPN to make sure I download that. And if you want the VPN, you can, you know, contact me or let me know, whatever it is. All right, so when you connect to the VPN and then you try it again, you are actually going to see that it's going to download it for you, right? Next to so I'm just gonna try to refresh it and see what happens this time around. So you can see that the download starts instantly, right? So this is just 61 megabytes, so it's not a lot of data. So and then it goes to download it like so. Okay, so that's what you should do in case you're having this issue. So wait while it's done downloading. All right, so the download is done already, and then what we can do is you go to your downloads folder. So I believe you should know where it is. Go to your downloads folder, then what you want to do is to open it, right, in this case. So when you open it, what you're gonna see, I have this already before, but the older version, but you click install, right? So this is probably going to remove the one. In your own case, you won't get to see this. If you have Git already, then it will remove the previous one and add the one you just want to install. But if you are a new user, don't worry, you are not going to see this. So you should start extracting the Git to where it needs to. So Git is now done installed on your PC. So I don't need to view release notes. So you can just click finish. And now you finally have Git installed. And that's just it. So you now learn how to use Git and track changes in your files. And one thing you need to know about Git is you can only use Git locally. That is, you can only use it inside your system here. All right, but we'll come to that. And I've also just showed you guys how to install Git right on away. Okay, so now in summary said, Git is a version control system that manages your code history. You can go back to the old history if you want, or you can simply come to the new history. So you can have different history, just come to the version you want, and it allows you to track changes. So whatever change was made in the old one, you'll be able to see what changes was made and up to the new one that you have. So that's the power of it, and that's it. So the next one is showing you how to install Git. I have showed you how to install Git all by simply visiting this website here, right? And then you can select your operating system, and then that's it. Okay, So after you've installed Git, we need to confirm if Git is really installed on our PC. So all you need to do is to open your terminal. If you are using Windows, you can open your command prompt. You can just search for CMD or PowerShell. If you are using Mac, you can just search for terminal and then you type this command. Okay, so let's do that. So on your PC, what you want to do now is to actually search for command prompt. So I'm just going to type CMD. Okay, so when you type CMD, it's going to give you this command prompt here. So you're just going to open it. So this allows you to be able to run commands. Don't worry, you don't have to understand anything here so much. But all you just need to do is to just write git space version, like so, and then enter. So once you see this git version, then the version, which is 2.53 at the time you're watching it, it means Git is installed on your PC. As long as you do not see any error, you see Git, then whatever version you have, it means Git is completely installed. That means you're on the same page as me. Okay, good. So that's how to confirm if Git is truly installed on your PC. Now we've talked about Git, which allows us to track changes in our code, right? This is heading specifically for developers, not generalists. Anyways, we also have what we call GitHub. Now don't forget I said Git, you can only use it locally on your PC. You can't use it online. It's not something you use online, right? But whereas we have what we call GitHub. GitHub is like an online library where you store and share your notebook with others. Don't forget, Git allows you to be able to store, track and change your code, right? But locally. But if you want to make sure that your books are stored, you need to put it in the library, right? And think of the library as GitHub. It's safe there. You can decide to take it there anytime you want and return it back, right? So you can decide to have a copy of your book that you have put in the library if you want to, right? So in simple definition, anything that you can simply use on the internet or you can put on the internet. For example, Google Drive, right? Google Drive, everybody can store their files, right? Google Drive is an example of a cloud-based platform, right? Gmail is an example of a cloud-based platform. So we also have what we call GitHub, is a cloud-based platform that hosts Git repositories. That puts Git code, folders, all of your files, right? It actually puts it there on the internet. It stores it there on the internet for you. And the advantage of putting it there on the internet, or in other cases you can call it the cloud, is that you can simply share it to other people. You can allow people to collaborate, or you can collaborate with people with that file you uploaded to GitHub. Okay, and then you can also manage your project online. Instead of you managing it offline with Git only, with GitHub you can share, collaborate and manage that project you are working with locally. You can bring it online to GitHub, right? So in summary, Git is a cloud-based platform that hosts Git repositories so you can collaborate, share and manage projects online. It's as simple as that. And this is just a little difference between Git and GitHub, their features. Don't forget, I said Git can be used on your local computer. And for example, if your system got spoiled and you are only using Git to store changes and track changes of your file, you've lost the file totally. So that's where GitHub comes in and says, well, you can't just be tracking your files locally. You can store them online, and then you can be changing them locally and be updating it online. So GitHub gives you that offer, right? So in that case, GitHub is an online or a cloud space where you can put your local files that you have on your PC, can upload them to GitHub, and that's it. And you can download it anytime you want, right? Even after years. And again, Git allows track changing. Okay, you can track all the things you've changed right from your code, right from your files, right? And then it is only limited locally. That is, it does not support online that storage or anything like that. And that's where you need Git, like I said. So for GitHub is an online cloud space. You can share and collaborate on GitHub because it's online, right? and it is easy with others. You can easily use it, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so I've given you a summary here. Just think of Git as your notebook and GitHub as a library for everyone. They can see what you've shared. You can make it public or private, and so many things. And this is just a summary of Git and GitHub. Again, it's just a version control system, Git, and it allows you manage your code history. You can see the history of what you have changed so far in your code, and you can track the changes as well. And for the GitHub, it is one of the, in fact, not one of, it is the largest development platform, and it is a cloud hosting and collaboration provider. It allows you to collaborate from people all over the world, and it allows hosting of Git repository. That is your project. It's as simple as that. So I'm going to show you how to create a GitHub account, because we will definitely need it. So the first thing, of course, you want to do is to simply go to github.com, and we are going to sign up. The sign up is straightforward, and then you want to verify your email and login. Anyways, I'll show you how to do that, because this course is for absolute beginners. So what you want to do now is to go to your Chrome, and then I can just type github.com. So this takes me to official GitHub page, but let's actually see what GitHub tells us it does. So you can see it says the future of building happens together, and tools and trends evolve, but collaboration endures. With GitHub, whether you're a developer, an agent, cybersecurity data analyst, everyone, okay, you can all come together on this platform and do what is necessary. Anyways, to sign up, you can either click on this sign up button. Now, this website might change over time. It may not look the way it is right now, okay, and or you can click on sign up here. Anywhere you see sign up, it just means you want to create an account. So wherever it is, I'll just click on it. So the next thing you want to do is, the interface may be different, but it most likely will be like this. So you can put in your email, your password, your username. Now if you are putting a username like John, it will most likely give you error, because people are already using that name John, right? So you can, you put underscore like this, right? But it will warn you that you can't use underscore in your name, or you can't use hyphen, right? So what you can do is just combine the numbers together. So this username is valid. As you can see, it gives you a check mark. So if you are stuck, you put in username, make sure you put numbers there. But if you don't want to waste time, if you are using your computer, you can easily sign with Google, right? Now that's what I'm going to do, because I have a Google account here. I've logged in my Google account on my phone, on my system. So I'll just click continue with Google. So then you select your email, and then you click continue, and that's all. But the disadvantage is that there's no password for you, right? You won't, if you want to log in next time, you probably have to log in with Google again. But let me just log in normally without a Google account. So I'm going to be putting in my email here. So put in my email address like so. Then I'm gonna put in a password here in this case. Now put in a password you won't forget, right? And then you put in your username like so. Looks like I have an email with that account already, so that's totally fine. So I'm just going to put in a username like this. And then you can select your country from. If you want to receive updates from them every time, you can do that. So you click on create account. All right, so it's not going to verify your account in this case. All right, so you'll be sent a code. So you need to check your Gmail message, and all you just need to do is to simply go to mail.google.com. That's if you are logged in your Gmail on your system, all right, on your browser, right? So but I have it here right away. Okay, so as you can see, I have the GitHub code, so I can just open it, and then I'm just going to see the code there, which is this. Looks like that was a little mistake there. So the account has been created successfully. So you want to put in your password and your username, right, and your password, right? So I have it there, and I can sign it. and then you finally created a GitHub account. So this is simply how the GitHub interface looks like at the time of creating this course. Okay, so if you look at the top left corner, you see what we call create a repository. Think of a repository as a folder. Anytime you want to upload your project to GitHub so that you can store it online and access it later, or on anyone's computer, or anywhere in the world, you can usually come here to create a repository like a folder, and you can upload all your projects there. And that's it. You can log in on any device if you want to. You still find everything there. And let's put an example. Let's click on create repository. And when you click on it, every repository you create would have a name. So think of the name as like a folder name. In this case, it is most likely going to be a project name. So we can just name this test 1, right? Or you can write it together, or you can also use an underscore if you want. So whatever is cool for you. So it's going to be github.com/your username then /test1. Now you can add a description of the project if you want, if that's totally okay for you, right? So it's always best to add a description like so. Right, good. Then you can also choose your visibility. Do you want everyone to see it? In most cases, your project will be public because there are so many things that are public on GitHub. Except if you know you are working on something private, you can select private, right? But I'll leave it as public. And there's what we call a README file. We'll talk about that later. So when you're simply done, you can click on create repository. All right, so you just click on it, and this is going to create your repository right away. And it's as simple as that. So it has created your repository for you right away. Okay, so you have nothing inside it for now. So if you wanted to go back home, you can click back on this GitHub icon. It takes you back to the home page. But on the left hand side now, you won't see create repository. No, you'll also see the repository, that is the folder you created now, which was just an example in our own case, right? As you can see, your username then / your project name. If you want to access all your repo, you can come here to access them, and you see there's nothing there for now. Or you can also customize your profile by clicking on the top right. You can go to profile. You also see repositories here. You can go to your profile and then set up your profile however you want. Okay, you can just click on edit and then add your name you want to be known by, your bio. Just fill all these details. If you have a website, maybe by Netlify. If you don't, you can leave it. Your social media profile, if you want to add them, just click that save when you are done. You can also add your profile picture. Okay, and if you want to simply do that, you have to click on the picture itself, the icon. It takes you to this page, and you can do more stuff here if you want. So then after that, you can click on edit and then upload your profile picture. So take your time to do all of that. So that's simply how to create a GitHub account. And we've created a new repository as an example. So we are going to learn how to configure Git very soon. Okay, and we are going to learn some workflows very soon, right? Okay, so for now, this is part 1, and in the part 2, we are going to get started learning how to use Git. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye. So welcome back. We are going to continue off from using Git. We will now finally learn how to use Git. And in the recent video, I have showed you that in order for you to confirm if Git is installed on your computer, all you just need to do is to search for CMD on your computer, right, in this case. Okay, and then a terminal is going to pop up like this. So this terminal is where you can actually confirm if Git is really installed. And you don't really need to understand anything for now. So all you just need to do was to type Git version, right? And then this shows you the version of Git in this case. Okay, so you can simply close this. But before we really dive deep down, you really need to learn the basics of using that terminal. You see, whenever you want to access your computer, well, all you just need to do is to switch it on, right? And then you can start pressing your mouse, you can open a folder. If you want to open a folder, all you just need to do is to double click on it, right? If you want to open an application on your system, on your PC, the way to do it. You just double click and the application opens, right? If you probably want to do anything, whether you want to write a letter, you have to open your Microsoft Word, and then you can start writing your letter. So basically everything you are doing, you can see them and you can click on all of those things and then they would open. Or you can use your keyboard to start typing and everything just has to work, right? So what I'm trying to say is that there are two ways you can communicate with your computer, right? And I'm going to mention the two ways which you can communicate with your computer, right? So the first way you can communicate with your computer is the normal way everybody does in most cases, right? And the normal way is just by selecting, clicking, using your mouse to do controls and so on and so forth. And this kind of way which we usually communicate with the computer is called the GUI. And the GUI stands for graphical user interface. So this is the normal way everyone interacts with the computer. Even what I'm using to write on the screen, this is just simply a GUI. You can easily see that, right? And again, the other way is called the CLI. Now this CLI stands for the command line interface. So this is the second way you can also interact with your computer, but in this case it's only professionals, or will I say technical people, who actually uses this method to interact with the computer. And that's just it. So I would say maybe for 90% of people who have computers usually use the GUI to interact with the computer, and while there are other people who uses this command line interface. And this command line interface, all you just simply need to do is to just write a text. Okay, you need to perform a text based, or you need to write a text to perform an action. Okay, so we usually call this text-based commands, right? That is the way you would open your folder in your GUI. All you just need to do is to right click, and when you right click, you click on new, and then you see folder, you click on it, right? That will just create you a new folder. If I told you to open your Microsoft Word, you just have to search for it and then you open it, right? All of this, we are just simply using the GUI. Now, if you want to use the CLI to achieve the same thing, for example, in the CLI, if you want to create a folder, right, all you just need to do is to write a specific command. And for example, this is an example of the command we actually write. It's called mkdir, and then you type the folder name. So I can just name it maybe my project, right? So you can actually see that we have to write a command, and when you write this command, it's going to actually create you a real folder the same way you would create it in your GUI. So it's going to create you a real folder like this, and you will see it. Okay, so that's just basically the difference between this GUI and then this CLI. So I'm going to show you how to use the CLI, because if you want to learn Git, you need to learn how to use the CLI, the command line interface. Okay, and the GUI, we already know how to use it. And one advantage of this CLI is that there are some complex things you may want to do on your PC that you cannot do it on your GUI. For example, if I told you to find the phone number of your system, think of the phone number, we usually call it an IP address. So every system has what we call an IP address. So if I was to told you to actually find the phone number, or the IP address of your system, you can't do that in the GUI. You can't almost see that in your GUI. You have to use the command prompt to get the result, right? And it's just a simple command which you are going to learn, right? So once you type that command, it would show you your IP address. Okay, so that's one the advantage. There are a lot of things you can do, and this CLI is much more powerful than this GUI. So that's what you need to know. If I wanted to check if a website was active or not, I can actually write a command to actually confirm if a website is actually active or not. Maybe you are trying to visit google.com, but it's not loading on your PC. You can open your command prompt and, for example, type this command.
So this is just going to show you some results in this case, which I mean you need to understand later on. Okay, but this is just to show you in summary that the CLI is a text-based command. It allows you to write text to perform operations on your computer, while the GUI is just the regular way users communicate with their computer. So that's what you need to know in summary. So the whole thing I've said now, this GUI, first of all, if you this CLI is what I'll be focusing on now. All right, so one thing you need to know about this CLI is to get started, whatever operating system you're using. So if you're probably using Windows, if you want to get started using the CLI, you can simply open your command prompt. Okay, so you can simply open your command prompt, or in short we call it CMD. All right, so you can just type CMD, you say command prompt. And there's also another way of interacting with your PC. Okay, so there's another one called PowerShell, right? So all of these are just simply called terminal, or I mean you can call it terminal, right? So in some cases people call it terminal, but there's a slight in-depth differences between them, but we not go in depth into that. So there is also another operating system, okay, called Mac OS, right? And Mac OS, all you just need to do is to open your terminal, okay, and then you can start learning how to use or how to write commands. Okay, and then we also have another operating system called Linux. Okay, so this is common in the cyber security field, and then in this case you can also search for terminal. Okay, and then you can start writing commands. Now the command you are going to learn in Windows or write in Windows is going to be different from the one you write in macOS and Linux. So basically macOS and Linux uses the same terminal output, right? They use a terminal called bash. All right, so but about that later. Okay, so but just know that if you want to get started, you just search for terminal in Windows, CMD or PowerShell. There is now also terminal in Windows. If you are using Windows 11 upwards, you would see terminal and you can use it. Okay, so enough of the talk. Anyways, I'm just going to show you how to basically use the command line before we actually learn how to continue with Git. So to get started using the command line, I am using Windows, so what I just need to do is to search for CMD, and then this is Windows 11. If I also search for PowerShell, like this, you are going to also see PowerShell right here. Okay, so and in this case that's not what we are using, but just to show you. And if I also search for terminal, that's if you are using Windows 11 upwards, you should see terminal here. I mean, so it doesn't matter. So but I know everyone would have command prompt, so you can just type CMD and this is going to open up your command prompt. So click on it to open it. Now when this command prompt opens, it looks like, oh my god, looks like you are going to learn some hard stuff here in this case, but don't worry, there's nothing really hard here in this case, to be honest with you. Now when this is opened, okay, this is what you will most likely see. You would see this welcome, and then you will most likely see this. Okay, but the only difference in your own case, you might not see this Brave management. That's it, that's my name. In your own case, you may see your name, or you may see something like users. Okay, so again, in your own case, you might get to see something like C, then users. You definitely see this first two, right? And in your own case, you might see a different thing. You might just see HP, or you might see Dell, or you might see user again. You know, it just has to be different, right? Or it might even just be your name there, and that's totally fine. So I just want to make sure that you don't get confused. So this first two is always definitely the same thing, right? The only difference between you and I might be the third name here. Okay, so that's one thing you should have in mind. Okay, so now that you've understood that, the next thing you need to understand is this C. Okay, this C which you're actually seeing here. Okay, this is called your local drive or your local disk. Okay, now think of this local disk as a memory card. So I believe everyone knows a memory card. Okay, but if you are using a computer, we actually don't call it memory card. There's like a memory card that stores all your pictures, videos on your computer. But if you are using a computer system, we usually call it the hard drive. Okay, and there's another one called the solid state drive. Okay, so hard disk drive, then solid state drive. So but in most cases, in newer systems, it's going to be called SSD, which means solid state drive or whatever. Let me just use hard drive as this example. So this C drive actually means that's your hard drive. That's where you store all your pictures, but on your PC you will see it called local disk. So let me show you that. So you can open your file explorer. Okay, so when you open your file explorer, you know, this is where you usually see your desktop, downloads, documents, so many things, right? But at one point you will see this one called this PC. So I want you to find this PC and click on it, this option called this PC. All right, so click on it when you found it. Now when you click on this PC, okay, in your own case you are most likely going to see one option. So let me remove this, my flash drive. Okay, so in your own case you would actually see what we call local disk. Everyone would have the same thing. Your own name might be changed, but the most important thing here is whatever name is there, whether it's local disk, you're always going to see what we call C there. Okay, this C drive, right? That's it. So you can either call it local disk or you can call it the C drive. Okay, so it's the same thing we are actually seeing here in our command prompt. So this is just simply the C drive, but where you are going to write commands, here you are going to write command. It's not going to tell you, oh, that this is the C drive. But this C drive you are seeing here is the same thing with what you are seeing here. Okay, so it's the same thing with this C drive here. I hope you understand that. So do you know what is the next thing we need to understand? It's telling us that inside of this C drive here, there's a folder called users. So inside the C drive, there's a folder there called users. That's what it's telling us. So that means there's no way you can know yet, but it's already telling you. So what we need to do now, if you come back to this local disk, let's open it. Now when you open it, what you see here is the same thing you are going to see there. So it's telling us inside the C drive there's a folder called users, right? So as I've opened it now, you would actually see if you take your time, you will see a folder there called users. So as everyone can see, there's actually a folder there called users, right? So that's exactly what it's telling us, right? So but here it's just telling us in form of text that inside the C drive there's a folder there called users. And let's move to the next one. So inside of users, okay, inside of this folder called users, if you open it, there's a folder. In my own case, there's a folder called Brave Management. In your own case, it may be something else. It may be inside of users. It may be whatever name that is here. That's what you find, right? So what we need to do now is to open this users folder, then look for this folder called Brave Management. Okay, so back here, so this is the users here in this case. So if I open it, I should be able to find a folder called Brave Management. So if I go to the top now, you can see there's a folder there called Brave Management. Okay, so which means this is not actually wrong, right? So I hope you understand that now. Okay, so if you actually open it now, you now understand it, that all this you are seeing here is just a folder. So C is a folder itself, the users is a folder itself, the Brave Management is a folder itself, right? And I've showed you how to open that. Okay, so so let's open this Brave Management here. So when you open this Brave Management, you can see in your own case you may not have this so many files here. That's totally fine. Okay, so but if we look at the command prompt here, it's not showing us, well, all of those, you know, different files and folders we saw earlier, right? But I have opened Brave Management and I have actually seen everything inside it. And if you want to show you are inside there, if you look at the top here, you see where we say this PC, I mean your C drive, then inside C drive you're inside users, then inside users you are inside that folder called Brave Management. And for example, if you click somewhere after everything, like click here, okay, you will see that it shows you the same thing, right? Which is this C users Brave Management. It means this is you are inside this folder called Brave Management. So you can see it's the same command as what we have in our command prompt here, right? So which actually means we are not wrong, we are in the right path. But the problem is inside of this Brave Management, this is the GUI. Okay, this is simply your GUI. Everything we've been doing basically here by clicking and opening a folder, we are simply doing it in the GUI. While this is actually called your CLI. Okay, and I told you in your CLI you have to write commands to see a specific result. So what we need to do is all these folders you are seeing here is actually here, right? But you cannot see it yet. You need to write a specific command to list the same thing you are seeing here. And how do we do that? Okay, so you are going to learn your first command in this case. So the first command you are going to learn is going to be called dir. Okay, so this is going to be your first command. So I don't have a PDF for this, so you write that down as you are learning it. Okay, so the first command you are going to learn is called dir. But before I tell you the command, before I proceed writing that command, you know, I have actually said so far that this C drive is actually a folder. I have mentioned that the users we opened earlier is a folder, and in my own case, the Brave management I opened earlier, all these are actually called folders, right? So, well, so let me just write that down. So it's actually again called. They are all called folders. Okay, but anytime you are working with the CLI, right, that black screen we saw earlier, we don't usually call it a folder there. We usually call it a directive. Okay, we usually call it a directive, and in short form you can just simply call it dir. All right, so a folder is actually called a directive here. Okay, so if I said directive, I actually still mean a folder. So get that right. So this C drive is a directive, the users is a directive or a folder if you want to put it that way, and the Brave management is also a directive. So if you look at the results here, this is what we are seeing. So these are all the directives. Okay, and we have some files at the bottom here too, right? So the first command you are going to learn to list everything inside of this folder, inside this directive. Your first command is actually going to be called dir. This is the first command you learn, and dir actually lists all files and folders. Okay, it lists all files and folders in a directive or in a folder itself. Okay, so let's actually write this command called dir. So I'm taking this away. So what you want to do now is type dir. Okay, so I'll zoom out because I have a lot of folders there. So dir, that's the only thing you type, and in a small letter. So when you type dir, then press enter. Oh, you can see what just happened, right? So what just happened is you can see, first of all, it tells us that this is the directory. It did not say folder, right? As you can see, it says this is the directory, which basically means this is the folder of this Brave management, because that's the last name there, right? And it's telling us inside of this folder, these are all the things we simply have right inside it, as you can see, right? Interesting. And that's just it, right? So first of all, it tells you the date of each of the files we have, right? So for example, we have the date of this one here and the time which this was created, and the type of whether it is a file or a folder. If it is a folder, you will see dir, so which actually means this anti-gravity here, for example, is actually a folder. That's why you're seeing dir. So anyone that doesn't come with dir, it actually means it is a file. So this cloud, for example, now they are both files. All right, so interesting. So I think you now basically understand it here. So everything you are seeing here, okay, so basically everything you are seeing here, okay, down to the top like that, right, is exactly the same thing you are seeing here, right? The only thing is, this is your GUI. You can see it is fancy, but inside this your CLI, it's not fancy, but it is exactly the same thing. So I hope you understand that now. And well, that's just it. So it will still be back to where you have your C users Brave management, and at the end of everything, it tells you how many files you have. So in my own case, I have 11 files and 51 folders, 51 directories, and this is like everything in bytes. I don't know why they didn't put everything in megabyte or gigabyte, but that's up to them. Okay, so I hope you understand that now. Good. Now the next thing I'm going to show you is, now we understood that if we also click at the top here, is the same path. This is called the path. So this is the same path, right? Interesting. So what I want to do now is I want to let's say I want to open my desktop. Okay, so what I want us to do now, this is desktop. You will surely find it there. So I want us to open it. Now when you open desktop, in my own case, these are all the things I simply have right here. Right? Okay, so but if you look at this path here, it's not C again, is now C users Brave management, then desktop. And the reason why it's now showing desktop is because I am inside the desktop folder, the desktop directory, right? And if I click on that path there, like somewhere in the empty space there, you would actually see that it's now C users Brave management, then desktop. Right? I hope you understand that now. And that's because we are inside the folder or the directory called desktop. Now if I actually go back here now, you would see we are still inside here called C users Brave management. There's no desktop, right? But amongst all the things we listed here, okay, all the things listed here, you would actually see we have desktop there too, right? So which means it is anything listed here, it means you can go inside it as long as it is a folder, it's a directory, right? So how do we go inside this desktop now? So it can now be C users Brave management desktop. Well, to do that, all you just need to do is at the bottom of your code here, okay, you don't need to try to put your mouse here, don't worry, you can just start typing. So what you need to do now is I want to show you the second command. In this case you are going to learn here, and the second command which we are going to learn is called cd, and this cd means change directory. Okay, so what it does is it allows you change to another folder, or basically it allows you open another folder by just writing the command. And let's say I wanted to switch to desktop. In my CLI, in where I'm writing my command, all you just need to do is to write cd, then amongst all the things listed there, you can go into any folder you want. There are a lot of things listed there like desktop, document. So if it's document you wanted to go into, you type cd then document, right? And that's because document is part of what it listed, but we want to go into desktop, right? So we have to type cd then desktop. So by the time you press enter now, it's now going to be C, then users, then in my own case it's going to be my name, then Brave management, then lastly is now going to be desktop. Okay, so this is how it's going to look at the end, because I'm saying I want to change my folder to desktop, right? And it's going to give you this output. So let's try it. So what we will do now is type cd, which means I want to change my directory, but you can't change it to anything you want. You have to change it to only all the things that is listed here. It can be cd space pictures, or cd space desktop, or cd space downloads, whatever, right? As long as the option is listed here. So in my own case, we are changing directory to cd desktop like this, and then press enter. Oh, so you can now see that we now have the correct path. So we have the C users Brave management and desktop. So it actually means we are now inside of the desktop in this case. So I hope you understand that now. But it's not going to list all the things inside desktop, right? As you can see, immediately we switch to desktop in the GUI, it just shows us everything we have here, right? But like I said, here you have to write command for every single result. Okay, so if I wanted to list everything inside of this desktop here, what command do you think I would use to list what is inside the desktop here? That was the first command we learned. You need to type dir. It would list all the files and the folders for you. So let's type the command called dir. Enter. So immediately I type dir now, we can see what just happened. So this actually lists all the files and the folders I simply have, right? And it tells me that inside of this your desktop here, there's a folder called the apps, and I know that it is a folder because there's dir before it. There's also a folder called Excel file exercise, and I know it's a folder because it's also dir. This was the time created and this was the date. Okay, so you can also see this one called software idea.pdf. This one is not showing dir because it's not a folder, and obviously it's actually not a folder. As you can see, a PDF is not a folder, and the png, this UUPNG is not a folder either, so you won't see dir right beside it. So you can see UUPNG, so there's no dir. So I hope you understand now that we can change directory now. So we are now back into desktop. So what I want to do now is, I don't want to be right inside desktop. I want to actually go back. And if you want to go back, you can just click on this arrow back to go back. Okay, or you can simply click on Brave Management to go back, anyone that suits you. I'll just click this to go back. So it may take me, I'm not going to be inside desktop again. It will take me back to, see users Brave Management. As you can see, right, even the path is actually showing at the top right corner. So let me just quickly show you that again. So if I go back to desktop now, you will see now that this path is showing you where you are now. You are inside desktop, right? But if I go out of desktop, just look at this top part. You see it's now going to be see users Brave Management. So can you see at the top there? So it's the same thing we are also learning, right? Good. So you can now see I'm not inside desktop now, and what I just had to do was to simply go back. Okay, now I'm now back to the Brave Management directory, the Brave Management folder, right? So yeah, I am still inside desktop here. So how do I go back to see users Brave Management only? Well, this is the third command you are going to learn, and the third command you are going to learn in this case is to go back. And to go back, you still have to type cd. Now if you want to go back, you type 2 dots, cd space 2 dots. So what this does is it takes you one step back. Okay, it takes you one step back, right? So I'm just simplifying it. So when you type cd space dot dot, it actually takes you one step back to the recent folder you're in. So let's try it. So type cd space then 2 dots like this, then press enter. Oh, so we can now see what just happened now. It's now inside C users Brave Management. So we are actually trying to go out of this desktop, and again just need to type cd dot dot. That's it. Let's try to go outside of Brave Management. Do you think that's possible? Yeah, if you look at it now, we are inside Brave Management, right? Let's go out of Brave Management here. If I go back now, I'm now back to Brave Management, and I'm now inside only C users, as you can see at the top here, right? Okay, so if I wanted to go back, it's the same command. You just type cd space, then you type cd space, then dot dot. So can you see what just happened? It's now C users only. Let's type cd space dot dot again. It's now back to C. Let's go back here because we are still inside users here. So if I go back, it's now going to be back to just C. So can you see I'm now back to the C drive only, right? So as you can see at the top here, so C, right? Okay, so when I'm inside C, these are all the things inside the C drive, right? Okay, so yeah, we are now back to C. Do you think we can go back again? Well, if I type cd dot dot, you can't go back again because the C drive was the starting point. So even though you continue to type cd dot dot, you can't go back, right? So that's one thing you need to know. So we are now back to the C drive in this case. Okay, so far this is like the first half of simple commands in CMD. Okay, so what we want to do now, I want to show you how to clear your screen, because everything we've probably been writing is quite messy. So because I don't want to just keep scrolling left, top and bottom. So I want to show you how to clear your screen. And to clear your screen, all you just need to do is to type CLS, which actually means clear screen. Okay, so let's try it. So CLS. So can you see? So immediately I type CLS, it cleared all the old commands I've written. And you don't have to clear your screen. You can leave it, maybe probably keep your all the things you've learned safe. There's no way you can keep a command. Once you've written it, you can't save it. Okay, so it's just temporary. But anyways, it just shows you the last place you still are. So you can see we are still in the C drive in this case, right? And if you look at our GUI, this is still our C drive, right? But inside of our C drive, you can see that anytime you're working with your GUI, it always shows you all the folders and the files inside it, right? So these are all the files and the folders inside it, right? But if I wanted to list everything in my C drive, what command do you think I would write to list everything inside the C drive? You can try that, and the command is called dir. It lists all the files and the folders inside of this path called C drive, because you can see it here at the moment now, but you can't see it here. So to see it here, you write this command. Okay, so you can see this is everything inside my C drive in this case. And inside my C drive, it tells me that this is the directory of C, as you can see properly, right? And it tells me that these are all the files and the folders inside it. I think almost everything is a file. Almost everything is a folder, rather. The only one which is a file is this one here called dump stack, as you can see. So, but if you want to see the summary, okay, you can see it says it's only one file here, and you have 18 folders, which obviously that's correct. So remember where we were coming from. You remember that initially it was C, then users, then Brave management, right? So what I'm trying to do now is we are inside C users. I want to go inside users next. That's the next folder I want to go into. Okay, you know, that was the arrangement from the beginning, right? And what you need to do now, if you look at everything listed here, okay, you would actually see a folder there called users, as you can see. So I want to go inside this folder called users. I want to change directory inside the folder called users. So what do I type? We've learned this command when we change directory to desktop. So I want to go inside one of those folders listed at the top here. So all you just need to do is to type cd, which means change directory, then space desktop. Enter. Oh, I mean, sorry, cd users. That my mind wasn't here. So cd users and then enter. So when you type cd users, it's not going to be c then users. So and you can see when I type cd desktop, it says it could not find the specific path, and that's because desktop is not always inside C. So you don't expect it to go inside a folder called desktop when it is not even listed here. That's not possible, right? So it is whatever is listed here, that's what you can change your folder to, your directory to. So in this case, I typed cd users, and that's because users is listed inside of the C drive. So I hope you understand that now. So inside of users now, if we go back here, this is the users here, right? And I said inside of users, you see Brave management. Okay, in your own case, you may not see Brave management. In your own case, it may be, I don't want you to be confused. In your own case, it may be user, okay, or it may be HP, or it may be Dell, it may be any name, right? So it could be your name, maybe Joy, or Sam, or maybe Leo, or Adam, you know, whatever your name is, right? So you definitely see that there. Okay, that's it. That's the folder you go into, not default, not public, right? So be careful there. Okay, so what you want to do now in this case, if you want to list everything inside users, you can see that everything inside my own users is just simply 3 folders. Okay, although one is hidden. So but if you want to list what is inside your users here, you probably know the command now. You type dir. It will list everything inside the users for you here. So press enter. Interesting. So you can now see that it lists everything for me here. Brave management, public, right? And the other one, like I said, is hidden. You can't see it, but it will tell you the total folders you have here. Okay, so I hope that's now understood. But what I want to do now, since everything is listed here, the only things listed here are this, right? But I want to go into the folder called Brave management. So do you know the command you type to change directory to Brave management? You could have guessed that, right? You type cd, then the folder name you want to go into among what is listed here. So Brave and management, then enter. So you can now see how we are able to come back now. We are now back to see users Brave management. I hope you remember that when we opened the command prompt, this was our starting point. So we've been able to move left and right, and we've been able to understand how to go front and go back so far in our command prompt. I think that's now clear, right? So if you listed everything inside Brave management, because in this case, if I open it here, for example, you will see these are all the folders inside it, right? So if I probably had to go list everything inside this Brave management, remember the command dir, enter. So you can see it lists everything right for me here. Okay, so cool. So I want to change directly to desktop because desktop is part of what is listed. So you type cd then desktop. Now you don't even need to type it in full this time. When you are typing cd de, you can press tab on your keyboard. For example, if I type cd and I press tab, it will look for any folder or any file called D. And if that's not the one I want, I can press tab again on my keyboard to look for the next occurrence starting with letter D. And I could press tab again. It just finds me all the folders that start with the D, right? So, but if you take your time to type maybe desk and you press tab, it will auto-complete it because desktop is the only one that starts with desk. So that's one shortcut to complete it really quickly. Interesting. Then press enter. So you can now see we are now inside of desktop, right? Sweet. So I want to clear my screen now because I've written quite a lot. Remember the command to clear your screen? Well, if you don't remember, it's actually called CLS, which means clear screen or clear my screen, and then hit enter on that. So my screen is now cleared now. I hope we understand this right now. Interesting. So what I want to do now, the next thing I want to show you now is to show you how to create a folder. Okay, so to create a folder in your, let's change directly to desktop here in our GUI. So this is our desktop. So we're on the same path right now. Good. So what I want to do is to show you how to create a folder. So if you wanted to create a folder here, I believe you know how to. All you just need to do is you can right click, and when you right click you can go to new and you see folder, right? So that's just simply how to create a folder here, right? But since we are learning the command line interface, the way you are going to create your folder is going to be different in this case, right? So but I'm not trying to create a folder right now, just showing you that it's very easy to do that here. Okay, so what I want to do now is I want to show you how you can create a folder inside of your command line interface, inside our command prompt. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I can just easily share my screen. I just want to show you that if you want to share your screen, you can hold down the window logo on your keyboard, then press arrow left on your keyboard or arrow right, depending on the direction you want to share it to. So I'll hold down window key, then arrow left. It pushes this screen to the left. Sometimes you might get this pop-up to choose the screen you want. So let's just pretend that I didn't want that screen. So I want to share this one. You just have to just click anywhere inside the second one you want to share. You open the application you want to share, then you hold down the window logo on your keyboard, then it will be the opposite. You arrow to the right. So hold down the window logo to the down, then just tap arrow to the right. Okay, so you can see it shares my screen right away. Interesting. So I'll just put it a little bit more like this. Okay, good. So good. So you can see we have these are the folders right inside it, right? So so I'm just going to be creating a new folder now. Okay, so I want to show you how to create a new folder. So in order for you to create a new folder, this is the command you are going to type. Remember, I told you guys that a folder is usually called a directory, right? So this was one quick thing I showed you guys earlier. Okay, so what I want to do now to show you how to create a folder, you need to type this command called mkdir. Now, first of all, this mkdir actually means make directory. Okay, so make directory. Okay, so that's it. So when you type mkdir, Then the next thing you're going to do is to type the folder name you actually want to create. So then let's say I want a folder called let's say JSS, okay, let's say Univastinct, right? So I'm going to create a folder called Univastinct, right? You can name your own anything you want, that's totally fine. But if you want to name your folder and there's space in between your folder, in this case, this is how you type it. So mkdir. So let's say your folder name is called hello world. You need to open double quotes and write hello. If you want space in your folder, you need to do it like this. So hello world, right? So this is how you create it if you wanted space between it. Because if you put it without the double quote, it will create a different folder called hello and world, right? So but the first one we'll try is mkdir. Then you simply type the folder name you want. So let's try it practically in our CLI. So I want to, the reason why I shared my screen is immediately you create the folder, we are going to see it right here. Okay, that's why I shared my screen. So let's type that. So you type mkdir, okay, then space, then the folder name you want. So you could name it anything. So I would, in my own case, name this Univastinct, right? So this is it, right? So and then when you press enter, you see immediately, so it doesn't tell you it's created the folder, but when you check your desktop here, you see there's a folder there already called Univastinct. So you can see how smart that was. This is it right here, right? And how easy that was, right? Okay, so you can see that's just it, right? Let's create another folder again. Let's say mkdir. Let's create another folder called hello world. You know, in that case, hello world is 2 words, right? So you need to put that inside double quotes and say hello, then world. Then open your double quotes and then enter. So you can see we have the folder there called hello world. So in your own case, make sure you check your desktop. You know, we are creating that inside desktop, so make sure you check your desktop. You see those folder there. Sweet. So you have seen how to create a folder right in this case, right? And that's easy as that. So that's simply how to create a folder. Okay, so the next thing I want to show you now is how to delete a folder. And to delete a folder, you can use various commands in this case. So the command is just simply let me just write out here. So the command is just simply rm with dir. Okay, and just like the mkdir actually stands for make directory, this rmdir actually stands for remove directory, right? So that is remove a folder. And you can only use this rmdir to remove an empty folder. Okay, so if you probably wanted to delete the folder, you know, we have nothing inside the folder, right? So you just type rmdir, then the folder you want to delete. The folder I want to delete in this case is called hello world. So you just open double quotes, and the reason why I'm opening double quotes is because hello world is, there's a space in between, right? So that's why. Otherwise, if I wanted to delete Univastinct, you just have to write Univastinct, right? But since hello world has like some space in between, so I have to put it in double quote by saying hello world, right? So this is actually going to delete this folder called hello world, right? So let's try it now. So rmdir, then we are removing hello world, so we open the double quote and type hello, then world. Then immediately I hit enter, you see this hello world is deleted. So you can see it's now finally gone off there. So let's actually remove this one called Univastinct from there as well. So we type rmdir, then Univastinct, okay, and then enter. Then you see Univastinct will go off. So you can see that's it. So that's how to create and delete a folder. So I'm going to be creating a folder and putting some files inside it. So to create it, I'll clear my screen. So CLS. So to actually create a folder again mkdir, then I want to create a folder called ABC. Okay, then enter. I'm going to create another folder called mkdir, you can create two folders at once, and I can say X, Y, Z. I can create another folder just by putting space, and you can just name it JSS. So this means I want to create a folder called XYZ and a folder called JSS separately, right? Had it been it was one, you remember I told you you can put that in a double quote, but since there's no double quote, it creates two folders for me at once. So can you see I have the two folders XYZ GSS at once, and then ABC. So I now in total have three folders. Okay, interesting. So can we delete one folder now? Remember the command rmdir. Now let's delete XYZ. So XYZ, enter. So XYZ is now deleted. Okay, good. So what I want to do now is to create a file. So in here, to create a file, there are two ways to create a file. You can create a file, any kind of file, like an HTML file. When I actually say files are like the PDF file, doc, which means Microsoft Word file, okay, .excel file, anything. Funny enough, you can create an empty Photoshop file, which is PSD, or empty JPG file. I mean, this one don't make sense, but I just want to let you know what files are. They usually end with different kind of extensions, right? .txt file, which means the text file. All right. Okay, so you can create different files, right? So the file I'm going to be creating is just going to be a .txt file for now. Okay, so if you want to create a file, first of all, if you want to create an empty file, okay, the command you are going to be writing is going to be type, then null in this case. Okay, so type null actually allows you to create an empty file, and then the next thing you are going to do is to simply write the file name. So maybe you can just write file my file .txt or PDF, whatever. So I'll just probably use txt for now. Okay, so this is actually learning how to create an empty file. So let's create an empty file first. It means you can open the file, but there will be no text, no word, nothing inside it. Okay, so let's try it out. So but I want to create the file here, right? So it's still inside desktop. So you type then NUL, then space, put a greater than, then you can type the file name. Let's just say file1.txt. Hit enter on that. So watch it out. So you can see the file is created here already. File1.txt is a text file. That is, if you open it, you can start writing text inside it. So I believe you know that. So it does simply using your notepad. Your notepad creates you text file most of the time, right? So if you open it, you can actually create text file like this, right? So cool. So but if you then want to actually create a file, okay, let me just open this file1.txt. So let's open it just to see what's inside it. Okay, so you can see there's nothing inside it. This is the file1.txt. As you can see the name at the top left. So there's simply nothing inside it. It's just empty, but you can write stuff inside it. But I'm not writing anything inside. So let's close it. So I want to show you how to create a file that you can automatically write some text inside it from the command prompt. So creating a file with content in it. Okay, so to create a file with content in it, what you just need to do is to use the is to use the keyword called echo. Oops, that's quite too big. So you use the command called echo, then you type the text which you want to actually put inside it. So I could say this is a sample, right? And then you type the file name which you want to create. Again. Let's probably go again. So we type just echo, then you type the file name you want to actually you type whatever you want to be inside of that file. Now you can put that in a double quote. You can just start writing. I can just say maybe this is sample. Okay, then you put a greater than, which actually means you want to type the file name. So I can just say maybe file2.txt. So what this actually means is that I want to create a file. So by using echo, then I want this text to be inside it. Sample, this is a sample, and then the file name should actually be file2.txt, right? So that's simply how to do that. So what you want to do, let's do that here. So you type echo, then the text you want to have inside it. So I could just say echo, this is a file, put a greater than, then you want to type the file name you want it to be. So in this case, I'll say file2.txt, like so. So that's all. And then down there, so this is going to create me another file here called file2.txt, as you can see right here, right? But there's something inside of this file. Unlike the first one, there was nothing inside it. So let's open this file2.txt and then see what we have right inside it. So sweet. So you can see this is what we have inside it. And then it says this is a file, because that was the text we created right inside it, right? Sweet. So that's simply how to create a file. The two different ways to create a file in your command prompt. So to delete a file again, the command you're gonna type is this. Remember, to delete a folder, remember then we type our dir, but that was for a folder. Now to delete a file, you type del, then the file name you want to delete. So for example, I want to delete the file1.txt, so you type file1.txt, like so. So what this is actually going to do is delete this file called file1.txt, and this del actually means delete, right? So that's it. It's as simple as that. So let's try deleting that file1.txt. So what you want to do is type file, then type the del, okay, which means delete. Then you type the file name you want to delete, so which is file1.txt, like so. So either down that, boom, and you can see that the file is deleted right away. The file1.txt is deleted, and it's as simple as that in this case. So that's how to delete a file in your command prompt. Next, I want to show you how I can copy this file2.txt. I want to copy it right inside of this folder I created earlier. Okay, so I want to show you how to copy a file and put it inside a folder, right? How to copy a file from one source to another destination. So the first thing I'll do is to show you how to copy this file inside ABC. Then I'll show you how you can move this file inside GSS. All right, so we would copy it to ABC, then we will move this file to GSS. So that's what I want to do right in this case. So to copy a file, we are still on desktop, and yeah. So to copy a file, I'm just going to clear my screen first of all by typing CLS, then either on that. So to copy this file called file2.txt, and the reason why I want to copy it, write the copy command is because the file is inside desktop. So that's where I'll type my copy. So wherever your file is, you can just type copy inside of that path. So copy, put in a space. So since the file is inside desktop, I can just type the file name. Remember, you don't even necessarily need to type it in full. You can just press tab to auto-complete it, like so. And then you type the path, the folder where you want to copy it to. Now the folder doesn't have to be inside desktop. If you probably wanted to copy it to document, for example, you can just write, if you know how to do that, you can just probably write something like this, then users, that's if you know how to write the path, right? But I don't want to stress you guys for now. So what I want to do is just copy it into this folder called ABC. So what you just do is type ABC like this, and then either down that. So you can see what just happened now. You can see that it says one file copied, and it's telling us one file has been copied. So to confirm that, what you want to do is in your GUI, open the ABC folder. You're actually going to see the file right inside it. So you can see the file2.txt, which we copied using the command in our CMD, actually successfully copied this. Interesting. So that's how to copy a file right in this case. So let's go back. So what I want to show you next is how to actually move a file instead. So this file2 is just a copy. It's right inside this ABC. So what I want to do is this file2, I want to move it inside of this GSS. There's nothing inside the GSS. That was the second folder we created for practice. So to move it is the same thing as the way we copy it. So you type move space, then the file you want to move, which is file2.txt, and then the folder you want to move it inside of. So I want to move it inside this folder called GSS, right? So, but if you wanted to move it inside maybe pictures, for example, that's going to be a much longer command. And for example, you don't have to do that, but just showing you. For example, what you do now is to type C colon, then users, then the name that comes next, whatever your name is, like maybe Brave. In my own case is Brave, right? You have to first of all type these 3 commands: C users, Brave management, right? So Brave management, okay, and then put in a backslash, then you type the one of the folder inside Brave management where you want to copy it to. So for example, if I want to copy it to move it to pictures, so this is the command you type. So you have to type the correct path where it needs to copy it or move it, so it moves it into pictures. But I'm not writing this command, but just showing you, so I'm not going too in depth. All right, so but I just simply want to move it to this same folder inside of, you know, desktop, right? So you just type GSS, right? And you can write it in a long form like this. In a long form, it will probably be something like this: C, then users, then Brave management, then desktop, then you put in a slash, then you type the folder name inside desktop where you want to copy it to. In this case, GSS, like this, right? And this is the longer command, right? So but again, I'll just type GSS and then enter. So what this has actually happened now, it has moved that our file2.txt into GSS. So if you open GSS, you would also see it right there. All right, so now we understand this. So finally, I want to show you how you can permanently delete this folder. Do you remember how to delete a folder? Okay, if you remember, you can try it. So I want to delete the folder called ABC. So do you think it's going to be rmdir, and then I'll delete the folder, type the folder I want to delete, hit down that. Oh, it says this directory is not empty, and this is because there's a file inside it. So remember I told you rmdir only allows you to delete a folder if it is empty. But this folder which we want to delete, ABC, you know, we copied a file inside it. So you cannot use rmdir to simply delete a folder. Instead, here is the command. So the command is simply rmdir itself. Okay, so but you need to add some other options. So /s. Now this /s will delete all files and subfolders inside it. Okay, and if you don't want to let it ask you question or confirmation, if you really want to delete it, you can add /q. Then you can type the folder which you want to delete. Okay, so again, this /s would delete all the files there. Okay, it will delete all files and folders. That's all. Even if you don't add this /q, it will still delete it, but it will ask you. But this /q, I just added there so that it's just called quiet mode. Okay, it doesn't need to ask me confirmation if I want to delete it or not. Okay, so no confirmation, it just deletes it right straight up. Okay, so let's actually try it now. So rmdir, okay, then /s, then /q, then abc. Even down that, boom, and then you can see that the folder is actually deleted right here. Let's also delete the GSS folder in this case. So now instead of me typing rmdir/s, you can arrow up on your keyboard. It would show you all the recent commands you've been typing, right? So but I want to just arrow down back, and then to this one I can just adjust it here, GSS. So either down that, boom, you can see it's also deleted right here away. So that's how to delete a folder containing a file. So that's basically the major commands you need to learn. At least you now have idea about the command prompt. So let's clear our screen in this case, and that's it. Okay, so I just want to show you some random commands you can actually learn. So I would start with a more simpler one. If you want to see your IP address, think of an IP address as the phone number of your PC. So if you simply want to see it, you just type ipconfig, right? So even down that, so this is going to simply show you the IP address of your PC, right, in this case, right? So there are other things which you can actually get to you know, type here in this case. And let me just quickly show you another one. So I'm just gonna clear my screen right in this case. Okay, so let's say you want to confirm if you visited the website and you simply want to confirm if the website is running or it is your network connection. Well, what you can do is to type what we call ping. Then, for example, if you just type google.com, okay, it will tell you whether Google is active or not. And then when you hit enter on this is going to reply you. So all this reply you are seeing means Google is active. All right, which means if you type google.com in your browser, it means Google is active, right? So sometimes this is a better way to do it. So I'll clear my screen. And another thing you can do, if you want to see your system information, just the details about your system, you type system info, you then down that. So this is going to show you your system info right in this case. So it's just going to take some seconds to process, and you see completely your system info, your PC name, the registered owner, and some other things right there, your system model, and some other details right in this case, the RAM, the other details, right? So this is really important if you want to do something more complex right in this case. And let's say you probably want to scan your PC. You can type this command called sfc, maybe for virus, right? You can type sfc scan now right in this case and either down that, and it tells you must be an administrator to actually run this command, because you can't run this command like say you are the owner of this PC. So if you want to run your CMD as an administrator, what you need to do is when you search for CMD, like say you are searching for it now on your PC, so this time around, this, instead of opening it directly from here, right, you don't need to open it directly from here. Okay, so what you do is you click on this run as administrator. It means you are running it as like the CEO. It knows you are the CEO of your computer. It's just like a WhatsApp group. You are the admin. So anybody can do anything, but when it comes to having full right, you need to act as an admin of your system. So that's what run as administrator is. Okay, so what you need to do now is to actually search for CMD, and then you can click on run as administrator. So it will prompt you, in your own case, it will ask you, would you like to run as administrator? Just click yes. But this time it's not going to show C users, then whatever, right? But don't worry about this. I believe you understand this part, that inside C there's a folder called Windows, and so you don't need to mess up with whatever is here. But what I want to do is to type that command again. So sfc, then scan now. Hidden down this. Oh, sfc. I wrote scf. So sfc, then scan now. Okay, you can use your arrow key to move left or right to adjust whatever, like that. So hidden down that. So what this is going to do now is I'm running this as an administrator, and you can see at the top here that this is being run as an administrator, as you can see, right? So it's now going to scan your system for potential virus in this case, right? So it will usually take 5 to 10 minutes depending on your PC. So that's it. So let's switch to the other command prompt. So I believe you've learned this, and you can also change the color of your command. So you can just type color space A, either down that, and this is going to change your color. So I'll clear my screen. It's going to change your color to that color. And if you want to see all the color, you can just type color - up, either down that. So if you type a command and then you type - up, it will show you details about that command. So this is like you learning how to use color. Okay, so I typed color space A earlier, and this color you are seeing here is light green. So if I type, just press enter to continue. So if I type color space, and let's say I wanted yellow, that would be 6, right? So color space 6, hidden down that, and that gives me yellow in this case. You can change your background, but I don't want you to mess it up. So let's say you want the background to be like, let's say red. So you type 4. Then the text color should be green. Let's use yellow. That would be 4E. Hidden down that, so you can see. So the first one you type here is going to be the background color. Then the second one will be the text color, right? So this is simply how you can simply change the color of your command prompt in this case, right? So but I'll just clear my screen, and I'll come back to the normal, which is color color A. Okay, and that gives me back my black, right? Cool. So that's some basic stuff right here that you probably can learn, and there is a lot of different commands, but again, this is just you learning others and understanding what command prompt can actually do. So thank you for understanding this. So I'll close this. So there's actually what we call the PowerShell as well. So if you search for PowerShell, it's kind of like a more superpower of using command prompt, a more modern way of using command prompt. So this is like the PowerShell, and here in the PowerShell you can write some Mac OS or Linux commands, some more advanced commands on other operating systems. But again, about that later. Okay, so I'll just close this one right away. Okay, so that's the basics of the command prompt, and we'll just simply continue with learning how to use Git. So you can take a break and come back to this. All right, so we are going to now continue off with learning how to use Git, now that you know how to use the command prompt right in this case. So the first thing we want to do is to create a new folder. So you can just right click and click on folder to simply create a new folder in this case. Okay, so I'm just going to name this folder my Git practice, so that I know that's it. So I'll just name it my underscore Git underscore practice. Either down that. So I have a folder called my Git practice. So I'm going to open this folder in my VS Code. So this is my VS Code here. Then what you want to do is to go to file, then you click on open folder. So this is going to take you to where you would select the folder you want, but my folder is in my desktop, so click on desktop, and then you can simply click on my Git practice. Okay, and then click on select folder. Now you can do it this way, or the other way you can do it. If you wanted to use the command prompt, let me close this. So let me show you how you can do the same thing in the command prompt instead of wasting your time, right? So as long as you have VS Code, then this should be easy for you. So what you want to do now is, I'm going to delete this my Git practice. Now if you know this is stressful, just open it in your VS Code. You don't have to follow me again if you've opened your folder in your VS Code. Okay, but I just want to show you how you can do it in your command prompt in case you are so excited about that. So I'll delete this. In your own case, please don't delete it if you've opened your VS Code. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is to search for command prompt. Okay, so open your command prompt. So I want to do it in my command prompt, then open the VS Code to my command prompt. So just to see how powerful that is. So the first thing I want to do is, we created this folder in our desktop, right? So we need to change to our desktop here. So you type cd space desktop, then down that. So I'm inside desktop now. Then I will want to create a folder called my Git practice. So you type mkdir space my underscore Git underscore practice. Okay, enter. So if I minimize this now, you will see that there's that folder there now called my Git practice, right? Cool. Then I'm going to change directly to that folder called cd, then you can press tab to auto complete it like this. Enter. So you are now inside of that folder called my Git practice. As you can see users, then blah blah blah. So the last one you see here means that's where you are. So inside of this folder now, if you want to open this folder in your VS Code, you just type code space dot. So by typing code space dot, it would open this folder in your VS Code. So hidden down there. So by the time you hit enter, it will just take about 1 to 10 or 15 seconds. And what this is going to do for you is going to open up your VS Code right for you right away. Okay, so now this is not going to open if you have a VS Code open running here already. So if you really want this to work, you should have just probably closed your VS Code from the beginning instead. Okay, so I'm just going to do that now. So enter. So I'm going to try it again. So code space dot, and then hidden down. Let's see what happens. So what is going to happen here is it's going to open up your VS Code for you right away, and let's see what happens in a second. Okay, so as you can see, so this opens up your VS Code right away, and it is as simple as that. And if you of course look at the top, you see your folder name my Git practice. Okay, so interesting. So that's it. So the next thing you are going to want to do now is to create a file here. Okay, so I'm teaching everyone in general, not for developers only, at least how to use Git basically. So what I'm gonna do now is to create a new file. All right, so what you want to do now, we'll just create a file, not an HTML file, just a general file everyone can follow up and learn. So what you want to do now is you are going to see all right, so to create your folder, again, you click on the first icon here, which is this first one here. Now if you are not seeing it, that's totally fine. If you move your mouse around the sidebar here, this would, like, some icons would likely pop up there, but maybe if you probably click out, you might not see it there. And if you still can't see it, you can right click anywhere on this sidebar here. Okay, just make sure you right click, and then you will see this new file. So it's the same thing. Okay, and anytime you want to identify any icon's name, just move your mouse on it and you will see the name, new file. If you move your mouse on this second one, new folder, you get the idea. So you want to click on new file, or you right click. Now I'm going to create a file. I'm not going to lock it to any tech field or any specific industry, so I'm just going to create a file called maybe first.txt, then hit enter on that. Let's create another one again. You can right click, or you can click on the icon and then you can say second.txt, then down that you can click on it again, and then we can go third.txt, then down that. Okay, so the reason I'm creating a text file is because whatever field you are in, so whether you're a data analyst, a cybersecurity analyst, a full stack developer, front end, back end, a whatever, a cloud practitioner, okay, you can follow up. All right, so that's why I'm just creating a text file so everyone can follow up. Okay, so just imagine it is your own file in this case. So for example, if you're a data analyst, just imagine this is a CSV file or an Excel file or a Python file, or if you're a web developer, just assume this is an HTML file for your own case, right? So you understand what I'm trying to do here. Okay, so but a text file is just a general text file. You can just write text inside it, right? So I'm not writing anything inside it for now. All right, so let's continue. So the first thing you want to do now is we want to initialize the Git repository, and we remembered what Git is. Okay, we remember that Git is a version control system, and what a version control system is, it allows you to control the versions of the codes you've changed. It allows you to see different versions of whatever code you have changed, right? So, and then you can go back to the version if you want to, and we have the code history. It also allows you to see the history of all the codes you have changed in your file. Okay, and you can go back to one history to the other if needed, right? And we also have this one called track changes. Git allows you to track changes in your file. It allows you to see all the new changes and the old changes, right? So it allows you to collaborate with other people too as well. That's by using GitHub. Anyways, we're only focusing on Git in this case. So to get to start using Git on your project, the first thing you have to do is to actually initialize Git. Okay, though this is always the first step, there is no other way you can start using Git without not actually initializing it. Okay, and to initialize it, it means you want to start using Git in your project, in your personal project or a company's project, whatever. All right, and the command you simply need to type is just git init. All right, so we are going to type git init now as the first step of getting started using Git. Now, before I show you where to write the start using Git, Git is always used in the terminal. Remember, we learned how to use CMD, right? But you should also remember that we installed Git. So if I type Git for example now, you will see that you should have this at least some of these files, some of these applications here, right? You can see Git also has its own CMD. It also has what we call Git bash. All right, so if I open the Git CMD for example, just for you to see what is inside it, it just looks like a normal command prompt we learned earlier, right? So you can see, at least you understand what this path means, right? So it's still your command prompt, so there's nothing there, so you can start writing it here, that's fine. And it also has another one called Git bash. So this is the one I like to use more of the time because I write Linux commands inside it. So you can still write the normal commands which we learned earlier, like the how to copy a file and how to move a folder, like all the commands we learned, like cd, dir. For example, if I type dir and press enter, it will list all of the files I have right inside here. Okay, so that's what you need to know, but there's a little difference with all of what you are seeing here in this case. Okay, so this is actually Brave management. That's the folder path I am now. All right, so but we are not going to be writing it inside of here because that might look strange and stressful. Okay, but one thing you need to know is Git is always written inside the terminal, so we don't need to open any terminal. Luckily for us, if you look at our VS Code, we have an inbuilt terminal. So that's why I said we don't need any other terminal. We can start writing our Git commands inside of this terminal. So click on the terminal. Then when you click on it, you click on New Terminal. So when you click on New Terminal, it's going to pop up at the bottom here for you, as you can see. So this is our terminal right in this case. Okay, and if it's too much at the bottom, you can adjust it to the top. You can just come to the line here and adjust it to the top in your own case. Okay, good. So this is like how the terminal does look like, and you can see it's exactly the same thing. But one thing you need to know about this terminal, you might not be seeing exactly what I have on my screen, and that's because you can always change your terminal by coming towards the right here. You will see this little plus, the little arrow down beside it. If you click on it, you would actually see that you can, change your terminal to PowerShell. Remember I mentioned PowerShell. I showed us Git Bash now. You can even change it to command prompt, and I think those are basically the ones you have, right? So if it's command prompt you want to use, just select it. Now you can use any one out of these three for what we are learning. It's fine. So whatever you have here, there's no problem with it. Okay, so the first thing we want to do now is, if you look at this path now, so maybe I should just change mine to command prompt. So you don't have to do that, but in case you just want to follow up, that's totally fine. All right, so I have the command prompt here, so I believe everyone should be on the same place now, and you can see it tells us we are inside of this folder called my Git practice, right? So you should definitely be there. So we are inside of the folder itself, which is called my Git practice. As you can see the name at the top here, my Git practice, right? So okay, so you should be inside of that folder. So to actually activate or to initialize Git, the first command you simply need to type is to type git init. Okay, so I've showed us that's the first step you need to do no matter what. So we are going to come here and actually type git init, and then you press enter. Very good. So you can see what just happened now. So it says initialized empty Git repository. So what this means is that it has initialized. You can now start using Git inside of this your folder called my Git practice. So this repository means, well, it's folder. Okay, so you can call the repository a folder. So it's telling you it has initialized empty Git folder for you, which is still your own personal folder. Yeah, right. So just know that if you see that message, it means you can start using Git completely. Okay, and immediately you start Git, well, you are going to see that it's going to create an hidden folder for you. Now you don't have to go to your folder which you are using, but this is the folder we are using, right? Let me open it and show you something. Just very quickly. Okay, now you are going to actually see something called .git here. You are not going to see it because I'm only showing you it is hidden, right? So but I just want to show you that a folder was created here. Immediately I typed git init. Okay, so you're not going to see it, and you may see it if you know how to open on hidden files, right? But you don't need to worry about what the folder is here. Just anything dot a folder name, it means it is an hidden file. Okay, so that's just to tell you that Git is working behind the scenes inside of your folder. Okay, so but again, don't worry about the folder. I just wanted to show you how it actually works. All right, so that's it here. And if you look at the files which you have here, you will see that all these files changes to like a color of green. Initially they were just white colors with nothing, and you are seeing something like you what's all this you I don't even understand that. That's totally fine. I would explain it. Now these three files you are seeing here, we have not started tracking it, because anytime you are actually using Git now, okay, and we have files, okay, if you start initialize Git now, that was the first thing we did, and the second thing is we already have some files here, okay, and Git is not recognizing all these files, like first.txt, second and third.txt. Git does not recognize them, right? So that means you need to actually start letting Git know about these files. Okay, so these files which you are seeing here is not being tracked by Git. That is, Git is not tracking it. It does not understand about it. So it is actually being untracked right now. Okay, so Git does not know about the files we have inside of that folder. Okay, so what we actually, the U you are seeing there now means untracked. Okay, so if we come back here now and you see this U, if you move your mouse on this U, just to zoom out a little, you would actually see something called untracked at the end of it, right? So it actually means these files are not tracked. Git does not know about this file. So whatever changes you make there, Git doesn't know about it. Okay, so you need to let Git start tracking your files, and then that's the important thing now. But before I show you how Git should start tracking your files, I want to actually show you how you can check your status, whether Git is tracking it or not. Okay, so in this case, you can type what we call Git status. So what we'll do is to type Git, then status, enter. So Git is going to tell you in this case what files are being tracked and the files that are not tracked. Okay, so if you look at it, it says on master branch. I'll come back to that, don't worry about that. And it says no commit yet, and most especially it says untracked files. That is telling us that there are some files inside of this folder called my Git practice, and they are not being tracked. So whatever you do inside it, Git does not know about it. And if you close your VS Code, for example, those files may not be saved. I'm just using that as a scenario. Okay, so what we need to tell Git, what we need to do now is to make Git start tracking all of these files here. Okay, and well, in this case, there are two steps to make it start tracking it. First of all, whenever you have a file like this, okay, and then in order for you to make Git start tracking the file, you need to add it to what we call the staging area. Okay, so these are your files here. Okay, they are being on track at the moment, right? And when you add them, or when you make Git start tracking them, okay, Git is going to push them to what we call the staging area. All right, so I will explain the staging. The staging area is just like the last verification step for you to actually confirm that you are done with the file. Okay, and then when you are done with the staging area, you're actually going to commit it. Okay, commit it just means all these files here. Okay, if you put it to the last step, which is committing it, it just simply means you want to save it and that you are done with all of this file here. Okay, so the staging area is just like the middleman. Okay, so what we are going to do now is to add it to the staging area, okay, to be ready to be committed. Okay, so basically it just simply means maybe before if you are in an airport, you go into an airport. That's the first step. And when you are inside the airport, you can't just go into the aeroplane just like that, right? Which is the commit. So they first need to verify you, do some verifications. This is actually called the staging area. And then when the verification is complete, then you can enter the plane. So that's kind of how it is here in summary. So we need to add all these three files to the staging area. Okay, sometimes you may not want to add all your files. Okay, and if you want to add only a specific file, for example, I only want to add one file to the staging area. So because in real world, sometimes it's not all your files you will add. Okay, like the env file and some of that. So let's say I only want to add one file. If you only want to add one file, what you need to do is to type git add, but you are not going to put dots. You are simply going to type git add, then the file name that you actually want to add to the staging area. So for example, it will be like this: git add, then I want to add first.txt. So what this means is you only want to add this file called first.txt to the staging area. So let's actually try that out. So we'll type git add, then the file you want to add, so first.txt. Okay, and then you hit enter on that. Okay, so what has happened now is Git has actually added this first.txt. This is the only file I added to the staging area. Okay, so it is going to get ready to be committed later on. But if we take a look at the top here, this was the only file which I added, just like I told you guys earlier, right? This first.txt, as you can see, is actually showing A here, not U again. So what does this A means? Okay, so if you move your mouse on that A gently, okay, just to show you guys what the A means, you will see the A means added. It means that this file called first.txt has been added to the staging area. Okay, so you can now commit it. That is, you can now say you are finally done with the file and you can commit it. Okay, which means you can save it, you are done with it, right? Good. So let's actually commit it right in this case. So to commit it, this is the command you type. Anytime you want to commit, you must add your message to it. Okay, so to commit it, you would actually type git commit, then -m actually means your message, so you must add it, git commit -m, then in double quotes you must add a meaningful message there, at least. Maybe sometimes you may not be able to think about what to add, you just have to write something. Okay, so what we to do by writing this command is to simply create a snapshot of that particular code inside of your folder. Okay, so let's actually commit it. So you type git space commit, then -m, which actually means I want to attach a message. Then in double quote you add your message. My message can be first time using Git, like this, right? And then when you are done, you can close your double quote. So, and then let's press enter. So you can see what just happened now. So you can see it says master root committed blah blah blah, right? So, and then it puts the message here. So this is the message here. Okay, so it's as simple as that. So what has actually happened now, I did 3 steps. I initialized my Git. I then added one of this file called first.txt to the staging area, and then when I'm done, I committed the file. So if you look at this first.txt, you will see that it does not have any alphabet or anything. It's just white. So it actually means I'm done with this file. There's nothing else I need to do with it. Okay, so that's just it. So let's say I made a change. For example, look at it. Let's say I type A, you will see something would happen to that first.txt. Okay, so you can see I typed AB. You can see what just happened now. It's not showing letter A or letter U again. It's now showing letter M. What does this letter M mean? And don't forget that Git is tracking your file, but because I have actually written something else inside the file, Git already understands. It already knows that. So, oh, you've added something. That means it's tracking, you know, your file for you, right? It has tracked it to the point that it knows that there was nothing inside it. Now we're still tracking it for you. Immediately you wrote something, it tracked it. So it's telling you that there's something inside this file. And this M which you're actually seeing here, it actually means modified. Okay, it means modified means you have added some changes to your file. Okay, and that means what you need to do is to actually commit it again. Okay, so but let's actually check the status. You can always check the status. You know, we've typed the command earlier to know what was changed and what was staged. Okay, so let's type git status again. So you can clear your screen first of all by typing CLS. Okay, I'm done with. All right, so what I want to do is to type git status, enter. Okay, so you can see we kind of have a second display here. If you look at it now, this file, you can see that all these 3 files are not together. Okay, and because they are not together because this first.txt, I have added it to the staging area and I've committed it before, right? So there's no need for me to start adding it to the staging area again. All right, so it's telling me that this file is modified. That is, well, there's some changes inside this file. So in order for me to actually confirm those changes, what I need to do is I need to commit it. Okay, so to update what will be committed, so I need to commit the file, and that's it. And if you want to discard or remove the changes, it's telling you the command to use. So it's telling you to use git restore, then the file name, to discard the changes. Okay, that's if you don't want the changes. And if you want to add the changes, you are sure that you want the changes, you type git add, then the file name, which is first.txt. That's all. Okay. All right, so all of these second files you are seeing here, we have not even touched them at all, right? That's why you are seeing untracked files, because we have not allowed Git to start tracking it for us, right? So what we need to do, let's actually add this file now to let's commit this file again. Okay, but we need to first of all add it to the staging area, so which is the first.txt. so you type git, then first.txt again, then git add, okay, first.txt, enter. So you can see it does not give us any error, or it does not say anything, right? And what we need to do, let's type git status and enter. So you can see the color of this has actually changed now. Okay, we are not done yet, and this is because we have only added it to the staging area. Okay, so but it's telling us, well, this file which you are using now is actually in the staging area, so you cannot if you want to finalize it, you need to add a message. Okay, so you need to commit it. All right, so you can also see it says changes to be committed, that is changes to finally save, to finally commit. Okay, to finally say that you are sure you are done with this file, then you need to commit it, right? So that's what it is. So these ones here are still on track, we are not working on it for now. Okay, so if you want to unstage it, you can just type git restore --onstage, then the file name first.txt to unstage it. I hope you understand that. So but we are not unstaging it, but anytime you just need some basic commands, it usually gives you idea. So what we need to do is to commit the message. So we need to just type git commit -m, remember, then in double quotes I can still say first.txt second commit, right? So just to, you know, a nice message, a meaningful message, and then press enter. Okay, so this is just going to give you some details that this file has been committed to the file already. Okay, so there's nothing that needs to be changed. Okay, so it says one file changed and then one insertion. All right, so this first.txt, then the message. Okay, so this is actually how to simply use Git, and if we check the first.txt, you see there's actually nothing there again. It means we are done with it. Okay, so it's as simple as that. And you're also going to be seeing this little message like 6 seconds ago, uncommitted changes, blah blah blah, right? So good. So we are done with this in this case. So let's clear our screen by typing cls. So but what we want to do now is, we have learned some few commands. We've learned how to initialize Git, that is start using Git in our folder, and we've learned how to use git add, but we only added one file, git add, then the file name, right? And we've learned how to commit our message, that is to say we are finally done with it, right? And we've also learned git status, which actually shows us the status of the files that are being tracked and the ones that are in the staging area, that is the one that are ready to be committed. Okay, but I want to just quickly go in depth now. Now this git add, if you wanted to add all your files at once, because in some scenarios you don't want to be adding them one by one, right? You want to add the files at once, this first, second, third, whatever file you have, okay, to avoid adding it one by one. So all you need to do is to type git add, then instead of writing first .txt space second .txt, that will be stressful, right? All you just need to do is to add dot. Okay, and this dot actually means all. Okay, it means you want to add all the files inside of that folder, right? So let's type git add them, a full stop there, and enter. So what this is actually going to do now, it doesn't show you anything, but it actually just tells you that these files are still on track, right? Even though we've added git add again. So let's type git status to see the files that are actually having issues. So you can actually see it's actually showing green, and it's showing green because the next thing we need to do is to commit the files if you are done with it. So to commit the files, these are the two new files it has added to the staging area. Okay, so let's say you want to unstage it, you don't even want to commit it now. You can type git restore hyphen stage. Okay, so let's type that. So git restore hyphen stage, then the files you want to stage. If you want to stage all of the 2 files you just staged, if you want to unstage them, you put dot. If you press enter, you will see that this U now turns to A. Okay, so you get the idea. Okay, anyways, let's commit it by typing git commit, then -m, that is we are done with it. Then we can say second commit. Okay, and then enter. Okay, remember that, so you can see that it's actually telling us that we can't just say commit these files, right? Right, you know, if you type git commit, it would actually end the file. It would know that you want to save it and you are done with it. But immediately we actually type git commit and then we added our message, it didn't commit. It gave us a warning here. And do you know why? That's because we have unstaged the files. We have removed it from the staging area back to the beginning, right? So what we need to do now is to actually add it back to the staging area. So by typing git add, okay, then you put a space, full stop, enter. So what this has happened now is we have added it to the staging area. Okay, and if you want to unstage it, you type this command, right? You know, that was what we did earlier, and we try to commit it. It will not work because it's not in the staging area. Okay, anyways, I'll clear my screen by typing cls. So the next thing we need to do is to then commit it. So we'll write this command here. So git commit -m, then second commit. So this is actually going to commit our file now. Okay, so you can see it says 2 files changed, then 0 insertions, 0 deletions. So if you added some insertions now, and you are going to see it. If you deleted some things in the file, you will see it here. Okay, and that's all, right? So if we type git status now, let's see what files are needs to be tracked. So you can see there is nothing to commit here. There is no files that needs to be added to the staging area either, and the working tree is clean, right? I hope this is now clearly understood to us, and we have learned some few commands. We've learned how to initialize Git. We've learned how to add one files or multiple files at once. We've also learned how to commit the file. Okay, that is like saving a snapshot of our file. We've also learned how to use git status to check the status of our files. Okay, now sometimes your own may not work. I almost forgot to show you guys this, honestly speaking. In this case, you might not be able to have probably written some of the commands I wrote, and that's because you may need to do some quick configuration. That really skipped my mind in this case, and it may not allow you write all these commands I'm writing because you need to configure your Git first. Okay, and to configure your Git, the first thing you want to do is to type. In fact, it would already show you this message. Probably you don't know what you do. Okay, the first thing you want to type is git config --- global, then user.name, then your own name inside this double quote. The same thing would actually apply to this one too. Your .user email, then your personal email here. So let's make sure we actually do that. So I don't know how you may have solved that, but congratulations if you probably found your way out. So what you want to do now is to type, let's do that. Okay, so by typing git config, okay, so you can see -global global, then user.name, then in double quotes you're actually going to put in your own name there. Okay, so whatever your name is right in this text. All right, so then when you are done with it, then you can hit enter on that. So when you are done, you need to do for the second one as well, right? The second one is just the only difference is just going to be user.email. Then you pass in your email right there. So you can arrow up on your keyboard to bring the recent command. Okay, and you just need to put in your email right in this case. So it's going to be user.email. Then in double quote you put in your email right in this case. So I can just put in the email. Right, and then you close double quote. Okay, so that's all. So what you want to do is just press enter. So it has now been configured. So Git now notes the exact person you are in this case. All right, so sorry for not explaining this at the initial. So maybe if you're not able to follow up, and this was probably your issue, or you were not able to follow up to this point because it wasn't running, I think you can initialize Git and then type these commands which I just typed, then replace it with your name and replace it with your email. Then you should try the command. That should actually work. All right, so that's the configuration we should have done from the beginning, even after initializing Git. So that skipped my mind. So this was just the basic workflow you need to understand. So I'm not going in depth inside of this Git course. So just the basics. So you have your working folder, you add all your files to the staging area, and then you commit it. That's like saving it permanently, right? And the staging area is just files that are ready to save. I hope you understand this simple navigation of Git workflow now. All right, and we've learned these simple commands. And one interesting thing you can do is to also see your Git history. Okay, and by typing git log. So clear screen. So if I type git log, down there, so this is going to show you all your histories you have inside your file. Okay, so the first one, which was this very first one here, this is the first history. Okay, and you will see the message right beside it, first time using Git, and you'd also have your second history right in this case, which is this one, the one we committed the first file. And you can also see we have the most recent one, which is where we committed the two files, right? So that's what you need to know. So there's one more thing I want to explain about this head master. Anyways, let's clear our screen. So before we actually proceed, I want to just make it a little bit realistic. So let's go inside of the second text file, all right, and let's write something inside it. So I can just write this is the option that I chose. Okay, I am learning Git, right? So yeah, so this is what we have here. And obviously very soon you will see that it tells us modified because we've written some files inside it, right? So what we need to do now is to actually add this to actually commit this file, right? So but if you type git add, then the file which we want to add, that will be second.txt, right? Okay, so git add then second.txt, right? Oops. Okay, so second.txt, and then you press enter. Okay, so it's actually going to show you that it's added it. You don't get any message, by the way, that's totally fine. Okay, so what you want to do next now is to actually commit this, in this case, by typing git commit, then -m, and in double quotes you put in your message. I could just say new text added to second.txt, and you close the double quote, and then you press enter. So if you look at it now, it says one file changed, then two insertions. Okay, the two insertions just means, well, just these two lines of files. Okay, good. So that's what you need to know. So what I'm going to be doing now is, there's nothing we need to commit here or we need to change right in this case. Okay, so everything is cool the way it is. All right, so what I want to do now is I want to remove this everything here. So just to show you again, this second.txt, this we've committed it, so we are done. So what I want to do now is I want to remove this this line here, I am learning Git, right, and only leave this one here alone, right? So this is the option I chose, right? So I just want to leave that. You will see that it is some files has been modified, right? So let's go again by adding it. So if you type git status, by the way, just to see the status, you would actually see it says the second text file has been modified, right? So we need to add it to the staging area. Okay, so to add it to the staging area, of course, you type git add, then second, then I press tab to autocomplete, hit down on that, and then I'll commit it again. So I'll say git commit -m, then then in double quotes I can just say maybe second.txt second changes. Okay, I'll just write deleted something, second changes deleted, and then press enter. Okay, and that's all. And then you can see it tells us one file changed and one deletion. Okay, that means I deleted something, one line out of it. So that one deletion is just one line. All right, good. So that's interesting in this case. Maybe you added something after I deleted it. You know, I only deleted this line here, right? I didn't add anything else. Let's say I probably had something else here. Okay, it would have also mentioned that there was one insertion. Okay, so let me add like 5 lines now. So instead of this second.txt, let's add more, maybe like 4 lines here. So I could just say 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so this is 4 insertions. Okay, and then let's say I want to remove something now. So this is 4 insertions. If I remove this line, that would be 1 insertion, then 1 deletion. So which I'm deleting this is 1 deletion, then 4 insertions, right? So I just want to make you understand this, right? So I'm going to actually add it again. So just arrow up to, so git add then second.txt, enter. Then I would attach my message now by typing git commit -m, and in double quotes, and you can write third added and deleted files. Okay, and then in double quotes you put it that way, and then you press enter, and you can now see what I have here. In this case, it says one file change, which was the second.txt. So 5 insertions. Was that supposed to be 5? Was it 1 to 5? I don't know. Okay, but that's the insertions which I have, and then 1 deletion. Okay, which means I deleted 1 line of that. All right, so you understand how this is in summary. All right, so I want to show you one important thing right in this case. Now, we've been able to understand the basics of Git by learning all of those commands. But one thing you need to understand is anytime you initialize Git by typing git init, okay, something happens. And what happens is that Git actually creates you a simple house, okay? And this house here, okay, that's where you are going to write all your code, okay? And that's where you have all your files. For example, that's where you have your first.txt file. That's where you have your second.txt file. That's where we have our third.txt file. So just imagine that when you type git in it, it creates you a house by default where you can have all your files. And this name of the house, it's not you who would give it the name. Git would give it a name, okay? And the name of your house name, so let me just write that here so you can understand it. So your house name by default, we usually call it branch name. Okay, so but by default, the branch name is actually called main. Okay, so that's like your house name, your branch name. So let me just say branch name so that you also realistically know it's called branch. So your branch name, okay, like your house name is called main by default. So that's where you have all your files and whatever. So let's just think of this as, say you are done with your house, you've painted it, and you are done with your branch, you've written all your files inside, and then let's say later on you decided that you want to add some more files, but you are not sure about what the files you want to add. You feel that it may mess up all the things you have done here. Okay, just like a movie. Okay, if they are creating a movie, they want to have a good ending. Okay, maybe a good ending was where somebody died or blah blah blah, right? But they are not sure about how the ending would be. All right, so what you need to do now, instead of putting the ending inside the original house, or instead of adding the engine inside the original house, right, what we can do is to actually create a copy of this house. So we are going to create a copy of this house here. Okay, and inside of the copy of this house, you are going to be having the same files. All right, so just put it here as copy of the branch. Okay, so the copy of the branch is going to be having the same first.txt, second.txt, and then third.txt, right? So the advantage of copying this is that you can now decide to add more files like fourth.txt. You can decide to do more things right inside it, right? Maybe fifth.txt. Okay. In a real scenario, let's talk about a website. So this your website is the one on red here. Okay, the one on red here, right? And you're done creating the website, but you want to be able to make some changes on the website later on, but you are not sure how the changes would be. So one thing you can do is to create a copy of that branch, a copy of that house, and then you can implement your changes on it. And let's say you like the changes, you can now decide to merge it. Merge it means you want to just combine it with this house, so it will just become one house again, right? So that's just the real scenario of this in this case. Or if you are collaborating with other people from different countries, or you guys are working on different projects, everyone must create a copy of the original house so that nobody messes up with the original house, right? And when you create a copy of the original house, one person can be working on login, another person can be working on maybe the authentication page, another person can be working on the dashboard page, different people working on the same copy of that file, right? So but whatever they need to do, they need to actually create a copy of that file first. So that's it. So if you want to create a copy of the file, well, there's a command in Git you're actually going to type. But before you even type the command, you can ask Git which branch you are currently in, and you can just type Git branch. So you can snap this or take a screenshot, okay, because I probably didn't write that in the PDF there. All right, so Git branch will actually tell you what branch you are, and by default, remember, you're always going to be in the main branch because that's the branch it creates by default. Okay, and then let's say you want to create a new branch. Okay, a new branch would automatically copy all these files here, like the one on blue here. If you want to create a new branch, and all you just need to do is to type this simple command here, and the command is just simply git then branch. Then the new branch name you want, you can name it anything. So for example, let's just say maybe login feature. So let's say you are the one who wants to log in, work on the login of the website. You can just create a new branch that is a copy of the big house at the top there by typing git branch, then the name of the branch, right? Somebody else can also create another branch by typing git branch, then another name. So this will create you a copy of this house which you are seeing here, the current project, and then you can name it anything. Okay, but when you create it, you are still inside of your house here. It doesn't mean that you are automatically inside the small house. You need to be able to switch to this branch you have created. Okay, you need to be able to switch to the house you have just copied, so it doesn't just move you inside of the house just like that, right? So in order for you to actually switch, I'm going to show you that in a second. And to switch, what you just need to do is to type git then checkout, then you type the branch name you want to go into, which is in this case the one we copied, login feature, right? So this is just simply how it is in simple terms, right? So I hope you understand this now. So there is more to learn, but let's start with this simple one first. So let's go back. So let's go back to our VS Code. So right in this case now, let's type git branch and see what we have. So if I type git branch, okay, so you can see it tells us that we are in the master branch. You may be in the main branch or the master branch, okay, but the default branch is either one of those, main or master. Okay, so but I'm going to be using master. You might also be having master at the same time. That's totally fine. All right, so now that we are in the master branch now, we want to create a copy of this master branch, and the master branch contains all these three files here, right? So we want to create a copy of this master branch, then we are going to give it another name, right? So how do I say we are going to do it? Remember, all we just need to do is to type git then branch, then let's say we want to create a branch called login feature. So you can just type login-feature and then enter. Okay, so what this is going to happen now is going to create you a copy of that branch. It doesn't tell you it has created it, but it's going to do that for you. But if you type git branch again, so let's type git branch, it's now going to show you all the branches you have. Can you see we now have another branch called login feature? and that was the branch we created just now. But you are still inside of this master branch here. Okay, so you can see you are still inside it. That green one color you are seeing means that's the branch you are at the moment. And if you want to switch to the login feature, so should we switch? Remember, to switch, you type git checkout, then you type the branch you want to switch to. That's called git checkout. Then login feature, then enter. So you can now see it has showed you a message. It says you have switched to the branch called login feature. Can you see how simple that is in this case? Okay, so if you type git branch again, so let's type git branch. Let's see the branch we are currently in. So you can see it now says you are in the login feature, right? You can see initially we were in the master branch now, but now we are in the login feature. So all the copies you are seeing here, first, second, and third.txt, is still inside of this login feature here. Okay, it's just simply a copy of that the main branch, the master branch rather. Okay, and that's just simply how it is done. So if you want to switch back to the master branch, you can probably try that now on your own. You can probably just say git branch, then master. So this switch you back to the master branch in this case. Okay, git checkout. So git checkout rather than master. Git branch will create you a new branch called master. So it tells us we already have it, by the way. That was a mistake. So git checkout would switch you to the master branch in this case. You can see we've switched to the master branch, and that's as simple as that. But the way we switch to the master branch, you can see we need to write two commands, git checkout master, and then if we wanted to create another new branch now, you know, we have to first of all type git branch, then the name of the branch, and then we have to switch the branch by typing git checkout master. I don't know if you get that. So let's create a new branch again. So by typing git branch. So if you type git branch, let's just say third branch, enter. This will create us a third branch, but it doesn't mean you are inside the third branch now, because if I type git branch, you are still inside the master branch, because that was what we switched to earlier. So if you want to switch to this third branch, you have to type git checkout, then third branch in this case, enter. So this will switch us to the third branch. So if you now type git branch now, you will see that you are now inside of the third branch. So can you see that you're inside the third branch? Good. But there's a way you can create a branch and you can switch to it automatically. You don't have to first of all create a branch and then switch. So let me show you how to create a branch and switch straightforward. And all you just need to do is to type git checkout. Okay, so when you type git checkout this time around, you are going to type -b. Okay, the -b there just means create me a new branch, and then the checkout means checkout immediately. That is, move to the new branch immediately you create it. So all you just need to do next is to just type the name of the branch. So let's just name this maybe payments, maybe payment feature as the fourth branch. Enter. So you can see it switched to a new branch and created a new branch called payment feature. So this is just one command of, instead of creating a branch and then switching, with one line you can create and switch at the same time by typing git checkout -b, then the name of your branch. So if we check the branch we are now by typing git branch, enter, you would actually see now that we are in the payment feature branch. So it's just simply a copy of all these files still. So that's it. It's as simple as that. But the way we write git checkout, all of these commands, this checkout is actually an old command, right? But you can still use it. It still works. There's no problem with that. The way we actually switch to a new branch, you know, if I told you to switch to a new branch, you type git checkout, then the branch you want to switch to, let's say you wanted to switch to maybe third branch, right? So this is how you probably switch to third branch. But the new way, this is like the old way, okay? But the new way to do it, you can still use that command, that's fine. But the new way to do it is to type git switch, okay? And then you type the switch the branch name you want to switch to, which is still third branch in this case. So you can use any one of it. It's the same thing, right? And the second thing we actually learned was showing you how to create a branch and then switching to the branch in one hand, right? There's also a short command for that. If you are using switch, you can also do that in this case. Let's say you wanted to create a branch and switch to it automatically. You have to type git checkout -b, and then the new branch you want. Let's say this is the fourth or fifth branch. It has to be in double quotes, by the way. Okay, this will create a branch called fifth branch, and it will switch to it. But if you're using switch, the new way to do it is type git is to actually type git switch, then -b, then fifth. There's supposed to be a double quotes in the first one. That skipped my mind. So fifth branch. Okay, so this is like the newer way to do it, right? By using the switch in this case. Okay, and this, we usually create different branches because one developer would be able to work on a particular aspect of the application or a particular aspect of whatever project you guys are on. Like one developer works on the login, another developer works on the payment part of the application, another developer fixes bugs, that is errors in the application. So if everybody works in the main branch, it's going to cause chaos, conflict, and production error. So that's the reason why we create copies of the branch and then we work on it. So each branch is just a safe copy, and then when you're happy, when you're working, you know that there's no need to worry about any conflict. All right, and then when you are done, you can now merge it back into the main branch. Okay, so if you want, let's say we want to merge now. Let me show you how to merge right in this case. Okay, so we are in the payment feature now, right? So let's say instead of this first.txt, let's say inside this third.txt, okay, let's just have something inside it, and I just wrote hello third, okay. And then what I want to do now is, of course, we've actually written something inside it, okay. And if I type git status, then enter, you see I've modified the third file, right? So what I can do is to add the git, add it to the staging area, git add dot. So it's now in the staging area. Then I can simply commit it. So git commit -m. Then in double quotes, I can give the message from I can just say third.txt change. I can just say from, then just trying to add a meaningful message of payment, right? So enter. So that's I've committed it now successfully. So let's say I want to merge it now. So what you would want to do is to type git merge, and then you type the file name, right? So which is master. So I want to merge it back to master, then enter. So you can see it says already up to date. So let me switch back to git. Let me switch back to another branch. Let's say branch. So let's switch back to, before we switch to master, let's switch back to login feature. So login feature, enter. Okay, I mean, if I'm used to that git branch, so to switch, you can just type git switch or git checkout. Okay, so any one of it. So let's say use git switch this time. So this is now the login feature. You can see that inside the login feature, this third.txt, there's nothing inside it, and this is because it's just a copy. I don't know if you get it. Let me switch back to where I did that changes. I did the changes in payment feature. So inside of the third.txt, inside the branch called payment feature, that's where I made the changes, right? So let me switch back to git switch, then payment feature. So if I switch immediately, you see what is in the third.txt contains some files inside it. So you can see hello 30. So inside of this copy payment feature, I have added something inside it, but I was trying to switch to another branch right? I was trying to switch to third branch and there was nothing inside it. If you switch to third branch or login feature, there will be nothing inside the third.txt, right? Because I am only making the change inside this payment feature branch here, right? And I merge it with master branch, right, later on. Okay, so let's log into Git. Let's switch to login feature and see. So login hyphen feature, enter. You see there's nothing inside it, right? And that's because I created a copy, but we didn't make any changes. And you remember that we now merged it with the login. Oh, not this, we merged it with master. Okay, when I made changes inside of this tor.txt from what file is that? Yeah, from payment feature. Let's go back to payment feature so I don't confuse you. So let's just switch to payment feature and enter. So inside payment feature, this is what we had, right? And I merged it with the master branch, right? So instead of the master branch, let's switch to the master branch. Do it, switch master and enter. Okay, so you can see instead of the master branch, we don't have anything yet, and we are supposed to probably have that the file we edited inside of the, where's it called, inside of the payment feature. Okay, now so the problem is when we wrote this git merge, where is that in a second? Okay, so this is it here. When we wrote this command called git merge master, right, that is all the changes I made inside of this this branch called payment feature. Okay, I was trying to put it inside of master, right? You know, inside this payment feature, I wrote toddies, hello toddies inside it, right? And I wanted to put it inside of the master branch because that's the new change it should have, right? Now it doesn't work that way. It works in the opposite way instead. If I switch to the payments, I'm always forgetting that name. So the payments feature, so git switch payment feature. So you can see we have the hello toddies, right? And what I want to do is I want the master branch to also have these changes I've made. So this is the wrong way. If you just type git merge then master, it's not going to merge, that is, it's not going to put these changes inside of master because you have changed it here. What you need to do instead is to switch to master. It is the master branch that will decide which branch it should actually merge, which branch it should copy the new changes. Okay, so if I type git switch then master, even if I type git merge master, it won't put this copy, this hello to this inside of master. It won't. So if I type enter, you can see it says already up to date. And then if I switch to master, git master, git switch master, you see that the changes is not there, right? You can see there's nothing inside of the third branch, right? So anytime you make a changes, it is the master branch, right, that would actually accept the changes, right? So in this case, I've already switched to master, because if I type git branch, just to show you, I'm inside the master branch. Okay, and the changes was made inside payment feature, so I'll be the one to actually accept the changes from master. So you have to switch to master, then you type git merge, then I want to accept the copy of the payment feature, so I'll type payment feature. So can you see immediately this pops up here, right? So that means I have actually accepted the changes from the payment feature, and that's how it simply works. So many developer can have the copy of that file, but the original owner can decide to accept any copy from, you know, any of the copied branch, right? So that's basically how it works in this case. So that's just the basics of switching, creating branch, and then accepting the copy of a branch. Okay, all right, so the last thing I just want to show you guys is how you can decide to push your files to GitHub in this case. Okay, so all these files we are working with here, we are working with it locally, and if your system crashes, these files are gone. So what we need to do is we need to push all these our files to GitHub. Okay, so it can store them online. Remember, Git, you can only use it locally, and that's why we would like to push it. All right, so these are the differences. So you can only use Git locally on your computer. You can use it to track changes, and the disadvantage is limited locally. So all your files, you can now decide to put it on GitHub online. You can do more collaboration because it's online, of course, right? Okay, so let me show you how to do that in this case. So what you want to do now is to actually go to GitHub. So you log into your GitHub, so github.com. Okay, and then the next thing you want to do, the first thing you want to do is to create a new repository. Think of it as a new folder for your project. So click on new, okay, at the top left corner there, and this will take you to where you are going to create your new repository. All right, so in this case you can decide to give it any name of your choice. So I can just say my first push, or my first repo, okay, my first folder, whatever. Okay, just give it some nice name. Okay, and then when you are done, you can add a description, whatever you want to add, that would make sense. And then when you are done, you can add whether you want it to be visible or not, public or private. And then you can add what we call a readme file. Okay, so a readme file is just a description or a summary about your project. Okay, you can't just drop your project just like you submitted your project to your lecturer in school. You need to, at least write some things about your project, right? Let's say your final year project, you can't just submit it. You need to write the process of how that was done, or not necessarily the process, or at least some details about your project, so that they know exactly what your project is all about, right? That's when you are going to add what we call a readme file. If you want to add a long description about your project, okay, you can toggle this on or off. For now, I will leave it off. Then you click on create repository. So this is going to create you a repository, right? In this case, of course. And then if you look at the URL, this URL is git.com. It will be slash your username slash then your repository. So if you probably wanted to share a repo, you can just copy the URL. That's one way you can do it. Okay, so there's nothing here. If you look at the top here, okay, you can see what we call code issues. If there are issues with some of your files you have here, or pull request. Pull requests are those who actually made a copy to their local computer, actions and so on. But what we are focusing on here is code. Code is just simply all the files you have inside of your repository, inside of your folder, right? There's nothing here at the moment. Okay, so what we can do is we want to push this our local file to GitHub. And how do we do that? The first thing you need to do, of course, is to type git in it. We've done that from the beginning, and you can add what we call a readme file. We don't need it for now. Then the next thing you want to do is to type git commit, then your first commit. Now we've done all this already, and you want to type git branch -m. So you must put this in the main branch first of all. Okay, so what we need to do now first of all is very simple. All of these ones here, we've learned all these commands and we've been using it, right? We already know which branch we are now. So the only thing you need to do to push it to this folder is to type git remote add origin, then this the URL of this your git, right? So the URL of your git, you can just simply copy it here as well, somewhere at the top here, or you can just copy it in the URL there, and at the end of it you just add .git. So it's the same thing here. They've done it for you already. Okay, so let's go and type git remote add origin in our file. So let's clear our screen in our tab now. So we'll type git remote add origin. The next thing you do is to copy the URL of this your repo, like that, and then press enter. So this will not work instantly. It is going to prompt you to log in into your GitHub. So you might want to wait for some seconds for this to actually work. Okay. And once it gives you like a pop-up to actually log into your GitHub, you just need to accept it to log into GitHub in this case. Okay, so when you do this, then the last thing you are going to do is to now push it. Okay, so you've already told it where you should add it. So to actually push this, what you need to do is to type git push -u origin main. All right, so let's type that. So what you want to do is to type git push -u, then origin, then main, then hit it on that. So this is where it would prompt you to log in into your GitHub, and you must be sure that you are actually connected to the internet. So let me be sure I am. So I'm connected. So can you actually spot that the error? Why is giving us this error? If you look at this command we wrote earlier, this git push, where is that again? This git push -u origin. So what this command is saying is it wants to push our code to a branch called main. Remember, there's nothing like a main in our branch, right? It's actually called master. That's the default branch. So like, can we try to write it again by then changing this our main to master, because that's the default branch we have in our case. Then let's press enter and see what we have. So this might take some couple of seconds, and if it just goes on, it might prompt you to actually log in through your GitHub. That's if you are not logged in. In most cases you won't be logged in, so you will get a pop-up asking you if you'd like to log into your GitHub in this case, and then you just follow the process and log in. And in other cases you might already be logged in. So but let's wait to see the results so we can know what we need to fix in this case. So you can check your so there you go. So you can actually see that we have this. Click on it, you see something like a GitHub at the bottom at your taskbar. So you can see it pops up this account here in this case. So what you need to do now is to actually select the GitHub account you want to use, or in most cases you just click on add new account. Okay, so when you click on add new account, then what you want to do is to actually sign in with your browser in this case. So click on sign in with your browser. So if you have an account, we've created a GitHub account from the beginning, right? So that's the account you use to log in right now. Okay, all right, so if you've logged in, this is where it will take you to. If you don't have a GitHub account, you might need to create one GitHub account, then go back here and try writing the command again, right? So whatever it is, whenever it takes you to this page, what you want to do is to actually accept all of this by clicking on authorize Git ecosystem. So this is going to authorize Git to confirm you are actually the one. And then lastly, what you want to do is to put in your password and then click confirm to confirm you are the real owner of this. And then once it confirms you are the real owner, the next thing it tells you is authentication succeed. And then all you need to do now is you can close this tab, and then you can return back here. So just wait for some seconds to let it confirm your authentication. As you can see, your authentication is confirmed, and it has finally deployed your push your files to the branch called master. Okay, so to confirm this, what you need to do now is to go back to your GitHub. So this is our GitHub, but these files are already here. You just need to refresh this your browser. You will see all these stuffs you are seeing here are gone, and you only see your files. So let's refresh. Ctrl-R to refresh. Oh, very good. So you can actually see now that we have our files here, first.txt, second and third.txt. So these are the files we actually pushed right now to GitHub, and you would see your messages here, your commit messages, right? So this was for the first one, first commit dot first text, second commit, blah blah blah, and so on, right? Okay, and then you see when you created the file, 1 hour 45 minutes ago, and so on. All right, so this is just it. So if you wanted to share your repo link to anyone, you can just click on this code and you see this your repo link, not like a website. Just maybe somebody needs your code or whatever, you can just click on that to copy, and you can share the URL to them. They will be able to see these files, and when they see these files, they can also come to this code, but in their own case they might just download it. or as a developer, we don't go through that process. What you can do is to pull it. Okay, so let me show you how to pull this in this case. Okay, so to do this in this case, let me just pretend like so I'm just going to, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to open another folder. There's not even need of that. I can just minimize this. You can open your command prompt. Okay, so let's open our command prompt. Then we are going to create a new folder here. So I'm just going to change directory to desktop. Okay, so you're inside desktop. Let's create a new folder, mkdir, which means make folder. Create a new folder called pull request, pulled files. Just let me put it that way. Hidden down that. So go inside of that folder called pull files. We change directory. So put files cd, which means change directory. Then it means I'm inside of this folder now called put files. So let me show you how to pull files. So for this git pull, it doesn't mean you are trying to take a copy of all this file. All right, so the folder I created here, we would work on it later to learn how to clone a folder, so we'll come back to that. So let's go back to our VS Code in this case and clear our screen. So git pull is only used when you can see that I already have a local copy of the file, of this file I'm working with, like the first, second, and third.txt, right? I already have the three files locally, right? So let's say I have somebody who wants to collaborate with me, and I show the person the Git repo, whether it's on public or private, and let's say the person made some new changes on it, right? And as soon as he made some new changes on it, the person working with me, right, I need to start continue working on the file, right? So before I start continue working on the file, I need to pull it, right? I need to pull the recent changes. Pull just allows you to get the recent changes, okay, on a particular repository, on a particular project that you have already put on GitHub. Okay, so it does not mean you are trying to download all the files. All right, so we are going to so by the way, there's not any changes we've made already, but I just want to show you what git pull is. Okay, so again, this is the files here. Let's say somebody else is working on this project and he created a new file called maybe fort.txt. Locally I don't have fort.txt, right? So let's say I want to continue working on this project later on. And some people have made changes on this file by adding more files here, or by adding more changes. What I need to do is to pull it so that I can also get the recent update. And all you just need to do is to type git pull origin, then in this case it's going to be the master branch, right? So git pull then origin master, or you can even just simply write git pull already. Okay, it will do the same thing. And when you do that, you would see that it tells you from this repository blah blah blah, but it says already up to date, and that's because nobody is working on that file. Okay, that's why you are seeing it like that. All right, so but that's one thing you need to know in this case. So let's say I quickly create one file here. Let me just quickly create one file here just on GitHub. I'll just click on create new file just really quickly so you can see it really in practical. So I'll just name the file maybe 10.txt. So just name it 10.txt. Now I'll just write something inside it. I'll just write A B C D F G H I J K L. Okay, just some files, right? Just something, and then just going to commit changes. You can see we also have commit changes just by clicking on it, and then you add your commit message. You know, we'll write a command. So created, I can say created 10.txt and added some text. Okay, you can add more description, whatever. So you can commit to the master branch directly, or you can create a new branch for this commit and start a pull request. Okay, so what this basically means is that the master branch, that's where the main files are, the first, second, third, and whatever, right? But if you remember, we created copies of different branches. So do you want this change to be in the master branch, or you don't want it to affect the master branch? You want to create a copy, you want to create a new branch, okay, and then put it inside that new branch here. Okay, whatever you want. Anyways, I'm just going to commit directly to master branch by clicking on it. So this has now created me a new file here called 10.txt, right? Good. So let's go back to code, right? In this case, so click back on code itself. So you now see that I have 10.txt. Interesting. So let me now go back here, and then what I'm going to do again is type git pull, or just type git pull if you want that way, and press enter. Let's see what happens. Very good. So you can see immediately the 10.txt is here now, because I have now pulled the most recent changes on GitHub. So sometimes you might be working on a project, or you might have a copy of somebody's repository, and maybe later on you want to be sure that you are having the most recent update of that person's project. You can actually use git pull as long as you follow the process we explained now. So it says this 10.txt was added now, and there are 4 new lines. So this green plus you are seeing is 4 new lines, which means insertions. So 4 insertions. If there were deletions, which means some things are deleted, you see deletions. So that's the red, the color will be on red. Okay, so I hope you understand the git pull now, and then the git push. The git push allows you to push it. So if I come to this 10.txt, there's nothing inside the txt. I mean, these are the things inside it, right? So let's say I deleted everything now, and I just wrote 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 9 0. Okay, so now I have updated it here locally, but inside on GitHub here it's not updated. So if you want to update it, do you remember how you do it? You type, you remember, you can now try that and pause that. Okay, but all you just need to do is type git pull -u origin master and then press enter. So you're now pushing the recent changes back to, back to GitHub online, right? So that's how it basically works. Okay, but again, you would have to create a copy of the branch so you don't mess up the master branch. Okay, but this is just a simple practical on learning how to use push and pull on GitHub. Okay, so the last thing we'll talk about is how to clone a repository. And let's say I am just a random person and I saw this repository online. Okay, because you see a lot of people's projects online. Okay, people's work online, right, in GitHub, and probably you like the project and it's open source, that is public. What you can do is to come to the, come here and then download zip, right? That would be stressful. So what you can actually do is to clone it. So clone allows you to it allows you to completely get a copy of somebody's project. Okay, so you just have to type git clone, then you paste the URL there like that. So that's what we'll do now. Okay, and that was why I created the folder there earlier. So by the way, this one has already updated. Okay, so if we quickly go back there, just let's open this 10.txt. You see I have this 1 to 0, they're not ABC there again. Okay, so if you look at it, it's not updated yet. Let's go back. Okay, let's go back to confirm that. Oh, okay, I skipped one step. Yeah, because when I change a file here, you were supposed to add it, right? So let me just press Ctrl C to escape. So that was a mistake we made earlier. So immediately I change this file, we were supposed to add it to the staging area, then commit. Okay, so what you want to do is type git add, then dot, either that or that. So then git commit -m, then you can add, let's say 10.txt new changes. Okay, so that was what you're supposed to do. So it says nothing to commit, so that was probably committed already. All right, then when you are done, let's just try git push to push it again, and let's see what happens. Now while we are still waiting, if you look at the bottom here, you would see it's actually bringing out Git. Okay, it's telling you to select the account where you need to make the update on, and this is the one we are using, this submit work partners and continue. So sometimes you have to check right there, because so you can see it says everything is up to date. So let's actually confirm though.
So if we go back and then we click on this 10.txt to see what we have, let's see if the changes has been updated right there. So the changes is still yet to be updated. Let's go back again. Now you want to make sure you confirm this. You can just type git status to see what is going on. So it says your branch is up to date with origin master. Okay, so what you can do is, if your file is not on save, make sure you save it. I just clicked on auto save now to save it, so make sure you saved. So immediately I saved it. I think that was the problem. All right, so immediately saved it. It's showing me modified, so which means in your own case it may have changed, but if not, then you have to add it again. Git add then 10.txt, enter. Oh, I didn't spell that well, so 10, not text. Okay, then you have to add a commit message, so git commit -m, so 10.txt change. So that's what I just want to do. Okay, enter. All right, so then I can now pull by typing git push, and down that. So this is going to push the recent changes to GitHub for me. So let's wait and see what we have right in this case. Okay, so it brings up this. Just click on your account and click continue. So we have. Okay, so this is what we have in this case. So successful. Okay, let's try to refresh. Let's try to refresh this again. So we have just Control R to refresh, and let's see if the changes is made or not. Okay, good. So you can now see the changes is made already. So we have successfully replaced the changes. And while we open this file, if you look at this master branch, if you open it, if you click on view all branches, though, let's see how many branches we have so far. You know, we created about 3 extra branches to copy what is inside of the main branch. I mean, to copy what is inside the master branch. So you can see we only have just master branch. If you want to push, if you have other branches here, so let's clear our screen. I have other branches here, right? So if I type git branch, you will see we have about 4 branches, right? So you have to push all of these branches to GitHub, because GitHub doesn't recognize them. So if you want to push any of this branch, what you need to do for the first time, this is what you do. You just have to type git push, then -u, then origin, then you type the branch name you want to push. Let's say login feature. Okay, and then enter. So this is going to push your branch for you right inside of your repository in this case. Okay, so it may take a couple of seconds for that to update. It will always bring this authentication for you to prompt which account, and then click continue by selecting your account. So once that's done, you would see that it tells you all of this. You have actually created a branch. So we have master branch here. So maybe if I refresh, we can now see the login branch as well. Okay, good. So you can see we have the login branch as well. So that's it. So if I want to push other branches, the same method, the same way. So let's say we also want to push the third branch. So I can just say third -branch, and then it might bring up the Git authentication to confirm what account you should push that to, and it's as simple as that. Okay, so the last thing I just want to show you is how to clone a repository. So this is one of the popular ways you can copy someone's entire project to your local computer. So I think I was about showing you guys that, and that's what I want to show you guys now. So if I refresh, you would see the new branches I've just put in out there now, which is the third branch, right? Okay, so you can see the third branch we have here. So cool. So that's it. So let me show you how to clone a repository. So I'm just going to clone one repository here. So somebody else's, I don't want to clone this one, or should we just clone? Okay, let's clone it. So to clone it, you probably need to search for the person's repo, or you have their link. That's the only possible way. Or you can Google search this kind of, I want this kind of repo or blah blah blah. But let's just say this is what I want to push. Let's say I want to allow one of my students download this. Now, instead of going through the long process to click code, download, zip, you can actually clone it. And to clone it, you come to the repo here, wherever the repo is. You're always going to see this URL here. Okay, so you click on this icon to copy it. Okay, so once that is copied, now you can clone it in your VS Code here, but I don't want to clone it because I have something here. So what I'm going to do is create a folder on your desktop. I created a folder called pulled files. All right, so you can open that in your VS Code. You know, I was about doing it here, but let me make it easier for you. So if I so in your VS Code, go to file, open folder, then come to the folder pulled files. So open the pulled files folder, so you can see it, how it's working live. So I'm going to show you how to do it live here. Okay, then what you want to do next is to open your terminal, then click new terminal. Okay, so just watch. Immediately I pull those files, you will see all the files right here. Okay, you know there's nothing here at the moment. Okay, so it's just a simple single command. So once your terminal opens now in a second, so you can close this welcome, Ctrl W. All right, so what you do is to type git clone, then you paste that URL you just copied like this. Right, so it's pasted. So if you press enter, you see it starts pulling all those files from GitHub and put it inside your files here. Okay, so it's cloning your first repo, so you can see it has created a folder for you, and then you start seeing the results right in this case. So all the files inside of that my first repo would be pulled down inside of your GitHub, inside of your project folder here. Okay, so you can see, boom, these are the files here in this case. So that's how to simply clone a file right in this case. Okay, and it's as simple as that. All right, so this is just the basics of GitHub. There is still more to it, but usually this is what you need every single time. All right, so that's it. And if there's any other thing you probably want to do, you can do that. Okay, so yeah, and for the readme file, you can also add what we call a readme file in this case. So I kind of have another video explaining that, but let me just show you the basics of that in a second. All right, so you can also create a readme file here, you know, by typing read .md. all right, so readme.md. okay, so it's like a special file that simply explains everything contained in your project, and you know, anything you need people to know about your project, whether they need to download specific things, whatever. Okay, you need to use the readme. And a readme file, you just have to use, you know, some specific kind of symbols to, you know, do some things. For example, hash would allow you write a bigger heading, you know, something like this. And if you want to list stuff, you can use hyphen, but let's do it right inside here, so you quickly see how it is. So it's an important file though, so you can do it here again. I'll just show you how to do it here. It's the same thing. So I'll just create a new file here quickly. So click on add file, then click on create files. Then we can just say maybe there's a guide to this project, there's something I need them to know about this project, or I just want people to know about my project, because seeing those files they may not understand what my project is all about, right? So I can just name this called maybe readme. So that's probably like a popular name there, readme.md. Okay, so it usually ends at .md. all right, so and then you can start writing here, but there are ways you can format it. So let me show you some basic ways. So a readme file is just you can call it a reader file, and I've explained what it does. And inside it you can write headings, you can make a text bold, you can do basic formattings. So for example, if you write one hash, it means heading 1. If you're probably familiar with HTML, it's kind of like means the biggest heading. You really want a big heading. I can just say this is the very beginning and my title. Okay, and if you want, there's the one with the 2 hash. I could say this is the first phrase of my story.
right? And then you can add 3 hash. You know, I can just say maybe this is the first part of the first phase. You can, and the last one is you can add 4 hash, right? So on day 1, you know, you can just make it make sense. You don't have to use everything at once. I'm just showing you how it would look like, right? And you can also add some text formatting as well too. So you can make a text bold. So I can say I like to let's say if you want to make something bold, you can just put 2 asterisk. So you can say I like to let's say maybe code, and then put an asterisk. So that makes it bold automatically, right? And one good way, and then let's say you want to make something italics, you can put 1 asterisk. Okay, is let's say given to others, and then that's it. So that makes it italics, as you can see, right? And then you can continue. Let's say you want to add strike through, so not a beginner, and if you want to add strike through like something like cancel stuff, you can put this 2 tilde right there, and then you can put it at the end like this, so it gives you that strike, right? So that's text. These are just text formattings. So another thing is if you want to list too, you can, I can just put head in here and say list in a readme file. Okay, so to list, I'm just adding an head in there. So to list, you can just put 1 hyphen, then you can list your first thing. So I can say I created 4 files, and then if you press enter, automatically it puts that hyphen there for you. I pushed and pull files, and you know, you can continue on like that. I created it and GitHub account, and so on and so forth. If you press enter, if you don't want it again, press enter and backspace, then backspace again. And you can also list by using numbers. Let's say I just want another subheading. I can just say numbers list. If you press enter, if you want numbers, you start with 1, put dot, and if you press 1 and put dot, and if you, oops, that's actually going back though. Okay, let's just type first, so we can just say step 1 and then press enter again. So step 2, and you can keep going like that. So step 3 and so on. So enter, backspace, then backspace because I don't want it again. So that's it. And you can also add subheadings. So let's say I copy this, and let's say I wanted more subheading. I can just press enter, and then I can delete this 3 and press put hyphen there. I can just say let's say learn, and if you press enter, you see this will add sub list for you, learn, and right, and you can keep going like that. Okay, so that's it. All right, so that's for the numbered list in this case. So the next one is let me say, okay, so you can also add links. So I can just say adding links and images here. Let me show you how to add links. So if you want to add links, you open the square bracket first, okay, and then you can put the, you know, the link, the text, the text you want them to see. Then when you want to click on a link, it's not the link itself you see, it's the text. Then when you click on it, it takes you to that link. So I can just say click on this link to download. Then if you want to attach the link, what you do is to open parentheses like this, and then you put the URL there. All right, so you can put any URL there. Let me just maybe go to unsplash.com. So unsplash.com is a website you can just download, you know, random free pictures there, like so, right? So I'll just put in this there, and that's it. So you can also add images. Well, the first thing we want to do is to put exclamation mark in open square bracket like this, and you can put an alternate text. I can just say this is a kind dog. All right, and if you want to attach the link to that dog, you can upload it on your system, your GitHub. Then
you can, write the name of that image exactly the way it is. Okay, but I will just use an external one in this case. Let me say maybe just a random one for now, maybe this one, right? Like so. So I'm just going to copy the link address, right? So I'm just gonna paste that there like so. So that's it. Okay, and just a few more things. So let's say you want to maybe you want to add a code. Probably maybe you're trying to tell them to write this code in their whatever, or to copy this code, or you just want to write something in form of a code so that they will know that, yeah, that's a code. So for example, let me just say use. So maybe I want to tell you to use git status to view or check files. So instead of just writing git status, so everything just doesn't look boring. Git status is a command. So you can open this tick and then write git status. I can just say use git status and maybe git init to do this and that. Use git status to check files, and let's say git init to initialize a repository. Okay, and then when you are done, that's it. Okay, Adibin, you want to write a code block, like a much longer code. What you can do is to simply write let's say, let me just put it down here and just write code block. So what you need to do is to put 3 backticks here like this. Okay, and then you press enter, and then you can start writing. Maybe you want to write multiple commands at once, so below each other like this. So you can write git add. Maybe these are all the commands I taught you, so I'm just trying to let you see it in the readme file. Then I'm just trying to write then your message, yeah. Okay, and then let me just add one more, maybe git push, git pull. These are some of the commands I taught you guys. Then when you're probably done, you can add 3 backticks. Okay, so this is like multiple code. They could copy it once and that's it. You can also add what we call a block quotes like this, right? And then you can also have what we call horizontal. And block quotes is just simply adding this greater than, then you can say this is a quote. Maybe you're trying to add a quote here, or you're going to quote something. Oops, so you can delete this. And then lastly, you have horizontal line by putting three hyphens to give you this horizontal line. Maybe from the beginning you want to separate stuffs, you can add this like 3 hyphens like so. You can add it in between like so. It's just a line in between them, right? Maybe for this one I can just add 3 lines like this. Okay, so this is just basically all you need to learn about readme. So, and I can just click commit changes, and you can give it a nice message, but I'll click commit changes. Let's see how it looks. So your readme file, automatically people would see it. They don't have to click on it. So let me say for example, I went to your repo, your repo is this your URL here. Even though this your URL, just your github.com/ your username / your repo name, that's your. So if I copy it, let's say I went to a new tab and pasted that either down there, this is going to take me to your repo. Let's just pretend that this is somebody else visiting your repo, your repository, and if they scroll down, this is the readme file here. Automatically they will see it. Okay, you can see this is like the biggest heading, the heading 1, this is the heading 2, heading 3, and this was the last heading. It's a more smaller heading, right? And those lines, those 3 hyphens, this is like, it just creates a straight line like this, right? And this is like the bold, the italics, and then the strike through. And we have this other heading again. This is the list, yeah, and this is the number list, yeah, and the number list, but I was showing you how you can indent again inside it. And this is like an heading, the same heading I used throughout. And this link, probably the link was not showing from here, I don't know, but it's supposed to show the image. There was supposed to be 2 stuff here. Okay, all right, let's just move on. Okay, this one was click the link to download. This is the first one, the link. The second one is this image here, so it's not showing.
So if I probably clicked on this link, I'll right click, open a new tab, it takes me to that on Splash. All right, that's if you still want them to download something or go through something. So this is the code. This Git status shows them that's a code, and remember, and the code block. So this, you remember I wrote multiple code blocks, multiple commands in just by putting 3 backticks, right? And the block code, this is the block code, and this is the line. Okay, so I think I've really given you a way to use Git and GitHub basically, and also the command prompt. So but for that image, okay, this image is not free. It says download and you have to pay for that. I think that's the reason why it's not showing. Okay, let's try to copy another one really quickly. Let's right click on this and copy link address. Now you don't have to do this if your own image is showing or something. So if you want to edit it though, what you can do to edit it, you see this edit, this pen icon here to edit the file. So I just want to replace that image with something else. So just to make sure that it really shows. Okay, and I'm just going to replace this. Okay, paste that. So let's save that out. So you can update it by clicking on commit changes at the top right. Okay, and then you can click commit changes. Okay, and the changes is coming there. So let's see what would go on now. All right, so that's still not showing, but I don't know why that could probably not be showing. Oh, that should be copy image address. Let me change that to copy image address again. So it's actually copy image address. I've edited it really quickly. Okay, so if you scroll down now, you can see the images now shows properly. All right, so that's how to add a link and an image here. All right, so you don't want to add link and image together beside each other, so it would most likely stay beside each other, and that's because those are inline elements, right? So I mean, the inline elements are elements that takes the space it needs. All right, so that's it. So lastly, you follow my GitHub account. All right, so to follow my account, what you can just do is, you see at the top left corner, you see type to search here, just type universe thing. All right, so when you type in the verse thing, and then you get to see results pop up. So what you want to do, of course, it's very easy to find without any stress. You just come to users here. So you have to open the drop down, then click on users. So it's going to show you the users, of course, which is me. All right, so this is it right here. Okay, so universe thing. And what you can just do is to follow my account, right? You see a follow button here, so make sure you follow me for more updates on GitHub. All right, and if you need anything right in there, you can get it there, of course. Okay, so that's all. Thank you for following me, and that's all. All right, so I'll create more content like this, and you can also follow my YouTube. So if you visit my GitHub, you can follow me on Twitter or message me on Twitter or YouTube or Instagram as well, right? Okay, so thank you. Bye bye. And if there are any other thing, yeah, I mean, you can just ask it out. So I've basically showed us how to push, and these are some of the commands we learned. We even learned much more than this, so I really made sure we cover up everything that is needed. And finally, this is just the end of it. We've learned all the commands here, so there's nothing missing, and there are some commands which we learned which are not part of it. Okay, so this is just the basic workflow, and this is just a simple quick assignment you can try on your own. All right, so that's the end of it. Thank you. Bye bye.